is Howard, and it is intercepted. J.T. Woods rips it off for Baylor. Inside the 10 and a 1st and goal for the Bears on our first turnover.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Looking to the end zone. He's got him in. Touchdown.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Williams in motion. They'll roll. Daniels out. Down he goes behind the 20. Terrell Bernard with a sack. And number 2 flexes for the camera.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Up-tempo for Baylor. Ebner straight ahead. Johnson lassoed him from behind, but instead he pushes across for the Bears touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
Baylor men's basketball has a new commitment. Ashley Hodge all over that on SicEm365.com. We'll have the latest, although not sure really how much more on the Kim Mulkey discussion and the possibility of LSU. Been on the phone a little bit today. Craig Smoak, David Smoak. Hobby Howell's in the studio with us. I hope you aren't supposed to be somewhere else. And, of course, Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims run the mothership. And we'll have Gil Brandt, Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer at 4. Remember Tyrone Thurman, the great punt returner, and he was a weapon for Texas Tech. He's going to be inducted into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame next Saturday, May the 1st, along with Eric Dickerson, among others. We had David Warren on, Chuck Dykes. He'll join us today on Monday as well. But we're not done with just that. Grayson at 3:45. The spring game is tomorrow at McLean Stadium at noon, and much more to get to. And we're going to play that Grant Tapp interview from one-on-one from earlier this week. We're going to have that today at 5 o'clock. Craig Smoak is here with us. And Chris Charles Scott's going to join us here. He's in studio. We're going to have him on in a moment because SicEm365.com is going to do a documentary about the Baylor men's basketball team. So we'll have that today as well. How it started, what it takes. Also, a chance if you want to contribute to be a part of it as well. We'll help you with that, and we'll get to Chris in just a moment. Craig Smoak, everything good with you?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Looking forward to the spring game?
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's good, and, yeah, looking forward to the spring game tomorrow.
All right, I did get this from the site earlier. Somebody posted this. The spring game is tomorrow, and there will be guest play-by-play during the game that includes Scott Drew, includes Jerome Tang, includes Kim Mulkey, includes as well Davion Mitchell, who's coming back into town to receive the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award, and more. That's tomorrow. It's supposed to be at 12. We'll see if all of that works out, which is also a part of the storyline with women's basketball. And we'll, again, get to that in a minute. But Chris Charles Scott joins us on SicEm365 here in studio, who is going to direct this documentary involving the Baylor National Championship, the Bears, and how they emphatically beat Gonzaga to win it all a couple of weeks ago. Chris, good to have you in studio. Thanks for being here. You've done a few of these before.
Yes, Smokey, I have. As a matter of fact, the last time I was speaking with you, we were doing one about the history of Waco, Texas in 2017 with Hobby Howell.
That was in the Hippodrome. Was it not, Hobby? Am I right about that? I think it was, and you had a nice crowd or whatever. So tell everybody a little bit about your background and obviously if they don't know who you are.
Yeah, Chris Charles Scott, originally from a little town outside of Tyler, Texas called New Chapel Hill. It's where, matter of fact, it's where I met Smokey and his family in their Tyler days. Graduated from Baylor in 2004. Baylor's just been a huge part of my life and my friends' lives, and I don't know, when I heard that 365, you guys wanted to do a documentary on the basketball team, I'm like, I got to do this. I've been doing documentaries here now for 6 years. Directed one on HBO Max called Class Action Park. The story, the world's most dangerous water park that's done pretty well. We're 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. And after the basketball game, after we beat Gonzaga, we were all in Indianapolis. And I texted my manager. I was like, I got to do a documentary. If there's going to be a documentary done on this story, I have to be the one to do it. I will be so ticked off if someone beats me to this. And not 2 days later, I get a call from you guys that said, we want to do a documentary. And so I'm like, man, those guys are on it.
Yeah, and it's going to be amazing. And I remember the Hippodrome and the work you did on the history of Waco, Texas as well. You graduated, by the way, political science from Baylor.
Political science from Baylor University.
And also attended seminary at Princeton as well.
I was kicked out of Princeton after a semester.
Really?
Yeah.
It's one more semester than I made at Princeton.
Yeah,
so.
Did they reach out to you or as far as to get there? Because I never got the letter from anybody in the Ivy League.
I said, I thought I came to Baylor growing up outside of in East Texas, outside of Tyler, Texas. I thought that I was going to come to Baylor to be a Baptist preacher. And just life happens. I live in Las Vegas now, so that took a turn.
Las
Las
Waco, Las Vegas.
Baptist preacher.
Yeah, same thing.
It all ties together.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, just the journey. I mean, obviously the journey inspired the idea to do the documentary. But as a Baylor alum, as a fan, I mean, to see how special this run was, I mean, what was that like for you?
I worked in Pat Neff Hall when the whole Dennehy tragedy happened. Mm-hmm. I worked in the Larry Brumley, he was a VP of External Communications or something like that. And I saw firsthand that story unfolding. I would be in Pat Neff Hall. You see Coach, can we say Coach Bliss' name? We got to beep that out.
Yeah, you're good.
I would see Coach Bliss coming to Pat Neff Hall. We knew something was happening, and then the hammer dropped. Mm-hmm. And Baylor became our name, our heritage, our traditions that we held so dear here in the Baylor community, it was shattered nationally. And we saw no way up after that Bliss era. I mean, murder in a basketball program, a coach doing nefarious things to cover that up. I'm surprised we didn't get the death penalty. Mm-hmm. And so to see us at the bottom of no program has gone from that low to that high with the same coach, the same program. This is made for Hollywood, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
No, it is. And when I saw the thread put up, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I didn't know exactly what it was going to be about, but obviously there's a story to tell because you can't discuss the fact that they won a national championship. And even a lot of the stories, because we've discussed that 100 times, as far as 2003 and all that stuff before it. But then the national people get involved, and then they wanted to.
It was a luck of the draw, us getting Scott Drew my senior year at Baylor. And then, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he's hoisted the national championship trophy. You cannot put that into context properly just by speaking it. You have to see this story unfold.
Again, Chris Charles Scott with us on SicEm365 Radio. So I've seen many documentaries. I've seen some of what other networks do. And it's not just about the night they win the national championship. It's like what you said. So how in the hell do you piece all this together? I mean, do you start putting up like pictures of segments and then you decide what you can do? I don't even know how. You know how it's going to start?
Yeah, it starts with a strong cast. And we've been very fortunate that the connections with 365, my connections to Baylor, Hobby House connections to Baylor, we all have these connections to the people that we need to tell this story. So it starts with a strong cast because the story tells itself. This is probably this will be the easiest documentary that I've ever done because when you start doing a documentary, you have to wonder, how does this end? Scott Drew and the basketball team, they wrote our ending in Indianapolis a few days ago.
Would you have been able to do this had they lost to Gonzaga?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It would have been oh, that was nice. Maybe next year.
Or whenever that happens.
Or whenever it happens. No, we could not have sold this. This would not be. We want to get this widely distributed. We want this to be on a Netflix. We want this to be on a Hulu or an HBO Max. And they're not going to buy a story where we almost won. Like we came close to winning. No, this was the year. This is the year to do it. And the fact that we're moving so quickly is a testament to you guys' influence in the Baylor community, the trust that people have with you guys, with the story of Baylor sports, the fundraising I hear. Colt hits me up every morning. We've raised this much, and it jumps significantly every day. And so the Baylor community, the Baylor fans, they want to see this happen just as much as anybody. And this is being funded through Baylor and Baylor's fans, and that gives us the autonomy to tell this story like it needs to be told. Yeah,
and here's there is a thread that is in the premium section about the documentary, and there's an update on occasion as well. So I'm trying to find out. Yeah, this was from Wednesday. They have, I think at the time, they were near $40,000, and they had something. And there's also a $10,000 match added to that total. So they're about halfway to where they need to be.
Yes.
And what you want to do is go on SicEm365.com, and there's a SicEm365 store, and it shows what you could do to get on $10. $10,000, $400, whatever it might be, it all adds up into what everything needs to be able to have time, the work, the travel, and everything else in between.
Yeah, because one of the things we do want to cover, we want to go to Valparaiso. We want Coach Drew's story is just as much as important as the Baylor basketball story. It might be the Baylor basketball story. And so we want to tell the stories of how both Baylor and Scott Drew came to be in each other's lives, and just the magic that's happened with that union. And so we're going to be able to do some cool things with the amount of money that we've raised now. That's an excellent start. We want to have this thing. We want to start filming this thing in May. If we hit our fundraising goals of 100K, we can start filming this thing by Memorial Day, which is our goal. And we want to have this thing wrapped up in the can as early as September, before the beginning of the basketball season.
When they start practicing, and of course their first game most likely would be the first week in November or so. You can contribute $10 all the way up to whatever you want, obviously $500. There is a large number. And so if you want to put more into the bag with that, that's great as well. It's SicEm365.com. Go to the premium section, or text me or tweet me if you want me to try to get you in touch with the right people.
So the main part of this will be Scott Drew and the Baylor basketball story, but I was just thinking, what a cast that you have in place with the players on this team, potentially. I mean, just the personalities and, the Davion Mitchells, the Matthew Myers, all those types of guys. I mean, this wasn't just a good team. This was a fun team. This was a team that loved each other, and then the fans could feel that love and then love them in that same kind of way. I mean, how much does the cast matter in this and that impact?
And this team is special. Of course, they're the national champions,
right.
But it was so funny how connected you are to this team.
Right.
Like, you feel like they're your homies. You feel like they're your boys. When they go down, you feel like you go down. Like, after the game, Indianapolis, not a good nightlife city. We leave the stadium and we have 30 minutes to go drink and celebrate. But as we were walking from the arena to the Lane Bar District in Indianapolis, Baylor fans were yelling at each other, "Hey champs, hey champs, hey champs!" And when someone said, "Hey champ," I felt like I'd won something. Like, I felt like I was on the court winning something. And so, also, this just goes to show this unity, this camaraderie among the Baylor community. I feel like we've always been champions. That's cliche, but the fact that this pivotal year, this crazy year of COVID, this year where Baylor has done some self-reflection about its own past and some of the dark stages of that past, this feels like this is a fresh beginning, a new beginning for our university, not just in the athletic programs, but as a whole. Like, this Baylor community has come together, recognized some things in the past that wasn't so pleasant, and look at us now. Like it was black, whites, Hispanics, everyone. Hey champ, hey champ, hey champ. I'm here in town today because my cousin, who's a junior, plays basketball in Rowlett. She wants to come to Baylor. And so we're down here giving her the campus tour. I don't think I've ever would have gotten any of my younger cousins to even consider Baylor, but this is it. This is a new beginning for us and for our university.
Because it's a documentary, it's about the real people, right?
It's about the real people.
You're not going to have to worry about who plays Scott Drew or anything like that.
No.
This is Scott Drew will be the one, or whoever it might be, from Jerome Tang to players to former players, whether now in Europe or who are a part of this particular team. So this will be real life people. That's the one advantage, correct, to doing a documentary?
Yeah, and this is not fiction. I mean, this is not. Yeah,
there's no Hollywood to it.
Yeah, Matt Damon is not going to play Scott Drew. Morgan Freeman is not going to play Tang. Like this is real life people. Their real life story. And you cannot make this up. These are scripts. You give this to Disney in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's up there with the Mighty Ducks and the Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
This feels fictitious, but it is real with real people, a real story and a real championship at the end.
Brandon, by the way, just sent me a text. He goes, I don't see the link, so I just sent Brandon you the link. It's in the if you want a copy of it, just let me know. But it's in the SicEm365 store. You go to where it's all the way to the top. You have all the various things. It says more. You go all the way down, all the way through, and one of them says store.
There's tabs at the top of the page.
You could be,
and one is more.
Could
Click
be
the more
clothing.
tab.
It could be apparel. And tabs is the right word. And Brandon, thanks for asking. I'll just send you the text and a link back as well.
And Smokey, can I say, your fans, your listeners, you guys are crazy good. When I was approached, I get approached with documentary opportunities all the time. We want to do a documentary about this. Want to do a documentary about this. I'm like, well, how are we gonna do it? Well, we'll seek around for stuff. You guys got started fundraising like on day one. And for us to be at this position where we are ready to start rolling cameras, your fan base, unbelievable.
No, in a lot of ways. Yeah, I mean, they are. They're very, very active. There's an unbelievable passion. And, again, there might be sometimes that message board could be a daycare as well. and right now, of course it is, but in a lot of ways because people care.
Yeah.
It's not, if they didn't care, they wouldn't get on there.
Absolutely.
And it is on SicEm365.com, which is the umbrella of what we do.
Rather than going through the tabs, it's just SicEm365.com/store.
Yep. And then it'll help you. It'll be 4 or 5 options, apparel, things like that. And then you can find down at the bottom, it says documentary. Click on that. It goes straight to the donation levels of $10 all the way to $500 or whatever else you want to be able to do. And it does need more money. There's no fundraising needed. And of course, chunks are great. Anything is great. And there's certain ways that if you're on SicEm365.com, I saw this, and I hope I'm right here, is that based on your level of contribution, you get like a certain color star now next to your name, like silver or gold or whatever it might be. So that's also a part of that as well. So you want this to start Memorial Day weekend, so there's about 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
No, less than that.
Yeah, we need you guys to really step up. I know you guys will. We want to this story is timeless, but to get the types of national and global audience we want on this, we have to tell this story this year. It has to be distributed this year. It has to premiere this year. And so I have a couple of projects going on now with other studios, but those things have been put on pause for us to get this out. This is the year to do it. This is the timing to do it. And so we're moving forward. Like, this thing's happening. And to all the Baylor fans, jump on this bandwagon. Let's tell this story. To have this story nationally distributed on a major distributor, that would be awesome. This story is so anti, like, UT Austin, right?
Yeah.
UT Austin, they have been trying to throw money at their problems for years. Throw money at Shaka Smart. Throw money at football coaches. But Baylor with Scott Drew, we did it the right way. It's a process. And people at UT and down in Austin, they don't understand that this is what it takes to build a program. This is what it takes to build a dynasty. You just don't throw money at stuff and hope recruits and wins come. We did it the right way.
You know, if you look at the success of Coach Drew in the men's basketball program, it was methodical. You look at the success of Kim Mulkey in the women's basketball program. She had earlier success with the national title in 2005, but it's been methodical. Baylor's done pretty well, haven't they? When what they have, and of course, it looked like they were going to start having that in football, and then, of course, things changed as well.
And you mentioned Mulkey, like she's a part of this she's a part of this documentary as well. We can't overlook the success that our lady basketball program and Kim Mulkey they've had. They held this program down. They held our school. They were winning. They were hanging banners before any other program was. And so, shout out to the girls and Coach Mulkey. And hopefully Coach Mulkey will participate in this project as well.
Well, if you talked to her in the last couple of 24 hours or so, because everyone would like to know if you did.
I heard that she's been stirring up stuff around here lately.
That's the next
I don't know
segment.
how much she has really, but the stuff has been stirred regardless. Yeah.
Okay.
I had today. I had two different. One guy I have great respect for, Mike Scarborough, who covers LSU, called me. We were on the phone a couple of different times today. I would think that over the next, you would think the next couple of days we'll know what's happening with her and also with LSU and or if she's going to remain at Baylor. That's another story and another segment. We're going to get to that based on just some things that I've tried to figure out myself. So you could pitch that to her that you want her in the documentary and you need to be on campus when you talk to her.
Yeah, Coach Mulkey, if you are in Baton Rouge, get back here. We need to interview you.
I don't think she is. But at the same time, that's only a real quick flight, and she has people who can take her to where she needs to go. Anything else you want to say? Again, it's SicEm365.com/store. Anywhere from $10 to $500 on the site. But if you want to do more, you can contact Colt, Ashley, Brian. You can contact me, and I'll set you up with you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whoever as well.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Chris Charles Scott. On Facebook, Chris Charles Scott III. Reach out to me. Talk to me. If there are suggestions that you guys have, people we need to talk with, hit us up. This is not going to be an hour and a half hype video about Baylor basketball. There's a story of tragedy, of loss, of scandal, but also of the greatest triumph a basketball program has ever experienced from the lowest of low to the highest of high. We're going to tell the whole story, and I'm happy that it's coming through 365 because you guys are understanding that we cannot tell the highs without.
No, you can't. It would be
the lows.
Then it wouldn't have no integrity.
It would have no integrity.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
So thank you guys for thank the fans, the 365 fans. I'm actually getting text messages now. From friends across the nation, L.A., Denver, Austin, saying that they're going to support. So, Mr. Pryor in Denver, we want to see your donation come through here in the next 10 minutes.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And Brandon, he's looking for the link, and I got him the link, and he's going to be a part of it. And again, it's SicEm365.com/store, and it's for the documentary that they hope to start shooting. They need to start shooting by the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, and have it released by the time basketball season starts in late October, early November, as far as the season, the schedule itself. Man, great to see you again. It was great to see you again because I was at the Hippodrome when Hobby set that up, the city of Waco. So well done. Really, really well done. And not just that, everything else you've touched as well. So were you there when they won the state championship? You and I've talked about this before.
I was in third grade when we won.
In 89?
When New Chapel Hill Bulldogs, we won the state championship in 89. I was in third grade.
Dickie Meeks was the head coach.
Coach Meeks, God rest his soul.
Kendrick Bell, who played at Baylor, was a part of it. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I saw him at a Hall of Fame induction in Texarkana. He was a part of it. It was great. He wasn't doing real well, and unfortunately, I know his son Ricky Joe is a hell of a coach now too.
Yeah.
So
Chad Boyd from Chapel Hill, Baylor Bear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they came around and won it again, wasn't it?
It was 2014.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
yep.
they did.
They beat Henderson, I believe.
Yep.
You know, I just have this championship blood oozing through my veins from my high school, from my college, and if we can get the New Orleans Saints to win a championship.
Well, they did in 09.
Yeah, you have seen one of those.
Yeah,
But what's the hell? Where are they? Yeah,
I am. You're welcome, Baylor, for bringing this championship pedigree.
It's a great
to
way to
Waco.
There you go. Hey man, good to see you. Good to see you, Chris.
Smokey.
Thank you, buddy.
All
All
right.
right. Again, Sic'em365.com/store. And you could be a part if you want to contribute for the documentary about the Baylor men's basketball program and the story, and not just that program, but how all of everything else has developed along the way. And as we mentioned, the women's basketball program, when it kind of set the standard when they won it in 05 and they've won it 3 times. And then when we come back, we'll discuss that a little bit as well. Grayson Grunhafer is going to join us today at 3:45. Gil Brandt, Hall of Famer at 4 o'clock. Tyrone Thurman at 4:40. And Sam Kahn Jr., now with theathletic.com on college football spring game weekend. He'll join us today as well. All right, Jack is here. Armstrong is here. Hobby, great to see you, my man. Best barbecue guy for the tailgate you could imagine. Hey, we're going to have a tailgate tomorrow after the spring game across at our container off of MLK at around 2:30 or so. I heard there's going to be maybe barbecue and gumbo. What a great mix, Chris. Again, great to have you. Back in a moment. Sic'em365 Radio. So now, Waco Custom Marketplace, speaking of tailgate, if you ever have something where you got to cook for just you, like a big, nice, juicy ribeye steak, or for maybe a lot of people, it is a go-to place. Absolutely fantastic with their bakery, with fresh baked bread and kolaches every morning, but also, my goodness, and I know Hobby's been there, the butcher shop where you can get fresh cut, whatever you want, however thick you want steaks. And, of course, they have tri-tip and briskets and sausage, pork, and seafood as well. Whatever steak you want, they'll do it for you. And there's also that hometown grocery store feel as well, up and down the aisles, from things like even saltine crackers to if you want some sort of rotel. That's what they have. Cold beer and wine. If you walk in the door to the right-hand side, Waco Custom Marketplace. And, oh, by the way, whoever was fortunate enough to live crawfish order by Wednesday at 6, you pick that up today, starting after 2 or sometime tomorrow. And on top of that, right now, the St. Louis-style ribs, $3.50 a pound. Whole chicken's $1.15 a pound. And the tomahawk ribeye. The tomahawk ribeye, that's the one with the bone that's been sheathed. You got, like, it looks like a Viking is about to eat it. It's $15.99 a pound. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, here we go. Thanks to Chris Charles Scott for being a part of the show today. We appreciate that. Also, SicEm365, Ashley, among others, saying that Kim Mulkey, there is more than mutual interest. And in fact, there's a chance, Scott Rubelai, who we've had on the show, who covers LSU, that they are talking, which as of Wednesday night, they had not, at least from what I could tell, have not heard back in the last couple of days on whether there's been any contact or not. I was told by Mike Scarborough that there's too much here, because if there wasn't, or if things had fallen apart between LSU and Kim Mulkey with the discussion, that the AD would probably send out a few flares by saying, hey, it didn't work out, so that they could then discuss who was next. So Craig Smoak, David Smoak, 254-339-1122, as the smoke continues to kind of build.
Well, now there's
when
a
it
flame
comes to Kim Mulkey and also LSU.
Yeah, I mean, let's get to it. I mean, there's a flame flickering now. It was just smoke, but now there's a little bit of a flame that's appeared. It's been quiet all day today. It was quiet since we talked about this yesterday. Nothing new was said. And then all of a sudden here in the last hour, Scott Rubelai from the Advocate and one of the local TV stations, a guy named Michael Cobble from WBRZ, he's saying details of a deal with Mulkey could be revealed next week. Rubelai, who's been a longtime LSU beat reporter with the Advocate, saying that the obstacle of their former coach not yet being officially out the door and gone, like there'd been no official announcement on it. She is apparently still in line to join the Las Vegas Aces and will be their president. So that's where LSU's former coach is likely headed. I mean, we kind of knew that, but there's, like, legitimately, if you looked at it yesterday, there hadn't been an update in 2 weeks, right? There hadn't been an update in 2 weeks. So this is just now popping back up. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of smoke right now, and more so than yesterday, and it's really just started back up in the last hour or so, and they're, basically indicating that there's been discussions, and as early as next week could be an announcement. I know a couple Baylor fans are already, throwing up the white flag and saying that she's gone. So, I don't know what to make of all this. I mean, there's obviously some things behind the scenes that we're not privy to that are not good or that need to be worked out, but I just think it's a unfortunate situation, and to go from what we were just talking about here to now turning around and like, oh, well, let's talk about Mulkey potentially leaving. I think that kind of sucks, but I know that's also life in sports, so it is what it is. I don't know the entire situation over there at Baylor with the women's basketball or really with Mulkey and and others, but they need to get it figured out, or this is the end of the road. I mean, there's only two options here. They're either going to talk it out and realize how beneficial the relationship is for everybody, how successful everything has been, how good people have been treated, or it's going to be a new era of Baylor women's basketball. And I would hate to see that. I would hate to see that. I know there's others that don't mind and are kind of almost welcoming to the idea, but me personally, I love the dominance of the program. I love the way the program carries itself, the players they bring in, that attitude that they have. Do I wish sometimes, her words would be maybe a little bit more carefully selected? Yes, but that's really like my only complaint, right? So I would hate to see it. It's not a done deal, but it does feel today like it's more likely than it did yesterday.
Well, I'll say this, and you're right, Scott's very reliable. Mike Scarborough, who I spoke with earlier today on the phone, I'll try to reach him during a commercial break as well. Here's what I can tell you, and I don't know yet about what is the official context or what is an official, like now more than just tease, but actually now you're about to have a change in a contract or an offer or whatever else. Mike Scarborough and I were talking on the phone earlier today, and he was telling me some of the things, like, for example, money won't matter, that it doesn't matter because they need an inoculation, so to speak, of feel-good because of the Title IX disaster that LSU has become. A couple of other things. He said there were a couple of catches maybe when it comes to Kim and or her staff, which he was trying to figure some things out if, in fact, it happens. But now what you have as well, it's been a week since she was on the radio in Baton Rouge, a week. And it started smoldering when she was on the radio station, and then it sat there. Yeah, there's some concerns, message board fodder. As somebody told me, why would she ever comment on gossip? I actually said this from the beginning yesterday's show, that the discussion or gossip started with that talk show appearance. And then it became some sort of reality. There is still always something that could change. But when you get to this point now, it's almost at a point of no return.
It feels like it's, and I don't know nearly as much as you do, but just reading the tea leaves and whatnot, and I like to feel like I have a pretty good pulse on things once I gather a little bit of information. Yeah, it's certainly trending the opposite direction of what Lady Bears fans would like right now. I'd say that. And yesterday it almost felt funny because we're talking about it, and you saw one of the players tweet it out like whatever it was that she said, and I don't even remember the player now. But one of the players tweeted out.
Hannah Gusters.
Okay, yeah, Hannah Gusters. And she was basically like, oh, we're all laughing at this, the rumors or whatever, talking about Mulkey and all of that. Like it wasn't a big deal, and maybe we were just blowing it out of proportion. And here we are 24 hours later, and it's actually moved forward and gained far more traction to the point where LSU papers are talking about maybe an announcement next week. So
yeah, at the same time, the LSU media has also said she was going to be introduced Wednesday
today
at 3:30, Friday at 3:30.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any press conference. But Scott Rabelais, this guy's good. He's not just somebody, Mike Scarborough. He's good. He doesn't call me just because he wants to chat. Right? And so we'll continue to work on this. 254-339-1122. Armstrong, if the phones are open, get them up and running. I hope they are. People are asking me if they can call in, and we hope that you can. It's a busy signal right now, so let's get that unlocked and ready to go as well. And Grayson's coming up, and we're going to have Grayson on to talk about the spring game and recruiting and what can be shown off at 3:45, Gilbrand at 4. We're not going to move around segments unless we absolutely have any kind of confirmed breaking news. But I do feel as well, and Craig mentioned this as well, Ashley's mentioned this as well, that it almost seems like now that when you kind of have this, and I said about drawing a line in the sand, it almost feels now that it's at the point of even if things break down or anything doesn't happen with LSU, it's going to be awkward. I feel like it's going to be awkward. That is the impression I get. And I feel like what I mean by that is that I think there's no question Baylor wants Kim Mulkey to remain their women's basketball coach. But you can only do so much. You can only continue to do so much. No matter the success, no matter the Hall of Fame, all of that. And I get the impression that you can get to a point of no return, and I think we're right at the cusp of that, and that you might know something here, if not by the end of the day, but for sure by midway through the weekend. 254-339-1122. Stephen was trying to get in touch with us. We'll try to do it, and we do. Okay, who do we have? Armstrong. Stephen, thanks for the call. SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about Coach Mulkey, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about the upcoming spring game. First, I'm a little bit more nervous about Coach Mulkey leaving than I was yesterday, but I feel like my points remain. I hope that whatever she chooses is the right decision for her. She's brought Baylor basketball into a period where they were hanging banners when nobody else was. But eventually, I mean, they already stay in the best hotels. They already have facilities that are arguably better than the men's. They already pay more money to their program than UConn. So if that's not enough to make someone happy, then you have to let them go be happy. The spring game question I wanted to bring to y'all, and this is kind of, I've been working a lot the past few weeks, so trying to listen to the shows when I can. But I thought we've come up with an interesting dynamic here where we've had a few coaches, Mateos and Stuckey, have now said that they don't watch film.
Yep.
I remember we all hammered Larry Fedora for that.
Yep.
Me especially. I was like, but I feel like it's fair to not look at it that way with these new coaches. Because with Larry Fedora, the offense that he had inherited had just done really well. That Matt Rule team played the best offense that any post-Bryles team has played. And so when you're struggling, it doesn't hurt to look at how these guys did it when they were pretty good. But like Stuckey and Mateos, I think, should not waste their time watching film of last year. Because that was a bunch of players who were not playing at their best, not playing in their best system, not getting their best reps in. I don't blame them for not watching that film. I think it's a discretionary topic, and I wanted to get y'all's opinion on that, to be honest, if we're not too deep in the Kim Mulkey craze.
Well, I asked Eric Mateos straight up the same thing. I even brought it up. We asked Chancey Stuckey that as well, and they're trying to give everybody kind of a fresh start, a clean slate, I think was the term as well. Craig was there when Stuckey mentioned that. Mateos made it clear that he doesn't think whatever happened last year, he wants them to move forward. He wants them to focus on now. He wants them and Coach Mateos to kind of develop their own relationship. I can see where there's a little bit of, when it comes to the coordinator, because you're talking about the entire offense, and it didn't work. But the position coaches have said, we're not going to watch film. We're not going to look back. We're going to look forward.
Yeah, and I think people need to remember that there wasn't a big deal really made out of Larry Fedora not watching film until, there was some questioning of it at the time. I don't remember people really being out of their mind about it until the season hit, and you looked at the offense and you went like, well, what did they actually do? And then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, Fedora didn't watch film. How, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that was one of those where, like, in hindsight, it looked way worse than versus the time he actually said it. And I don't think it's a big deal at all for Stuckey or for Mateos. I mean, they've had Fedora said this brand new, without spring ball, with not a great knowledge of his, staff around him, with little to no in-person, and like all the things he dealt with are the complete opposite this year.
Yep.
So
they all have
it's not the same.
The time and ability to be with the players, something that unfortunately last year's staff never had.
Yeah, so it's not the same in any way, to me at least, because all the stuff they're allowed to do is the complete opposite of what they had at their disposal last year. And as you mentioned, Fedora was running the entire offense. So if the wide receivers coach isn't watching film, I don't care, because I think if you look at R.J. Sneed last year, you probably don't come out with or Tyquan Thornton especially. Why damage your opinion before you even see these guys? Because now you ask him about Tyquan Thornton and R.J. Sneed, and I bet if he had watched that film, he'd go, yeah, the film didn't tell me everything I needed to know about those guys. So I think they've had the time to know what they need to know and learn what they need to learn, and it's not that big of a deal, really, to me.
Well, and Keith Van Burney reminded me, I did the interview with Mateos, and I do remember him saying that it also, because they didn't have anything established, it might have been different if he'd come into something established as far as his position, and it was never And that was another reason why he wasn't going to watch the film, because it just didn't make any sense. But in this particular case, and Keith's saying it also, what Craig just said, that offensive coordinators installing an entire offense, an entire part of the engine rather than just pieces of the engine is something that makes a difference as well.
Yeah, I mean, if they had maintained the consistency of the Bryles offenses, and a guy comes in and is like, I'm not watching film, that would be concerning. You'd be like, well, why not? Because they're like the top offense in the country, but we certainly haven't seen the top offense in the country for a while now, so I don't see what damage it does.
Got a lot of you are also texting us. We're going to have a rapid fire because we have guests in the 4 o'clock hour. Grayson coming up next as well from the 248. BU fans should also know that Kim helped lead Baylor athletics out of the wilderness years. Never forget that other programs took on the expectation of winning championships because of her expectations, and we mentioned that, in fact, Chris mentioned that when it comes to the documentary. That will be a part of the documentary. And we also have reiterated that really almost throughout the week and every year that I've been in Waco doing radio talk shows. We got to got one more call. Let's take another call.
I got to comment on that. I mean, I totally agree, and I don't think anybody has forgotten that. I think people say it all the time, and even during the men's basketball run, I saw plenty of people saying, like, thank you, Kim Mulkey, for setting the table. I mean, I saw that a bunch of times. I don't think anybody doesn't appreciate her. I think that's completely phooey. I just think there comes a point where that was great, thank you, but then, that doesn't mean that there can't be any issues ever again moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, that's great what she did 20 years ago and what she did a couple years ago. I don't want to see her go. But just because she did raise them out of the doldrums, well, now they're out of the doldrums. And now it's like, hey, let's hit that next stage. And now she's one to potentially bounce. And so it's like, I don't know. I think everybody appreciates it, but I don't think that gives you free reign no matter what, All
right, one more call. Armstrong, who do we have? T-Rex, good afternoon. You got to make it quick because we have to get to Grayson because we are packed today. Thanks for the call, T-Rex.
Hey, I'll be quick, man. It is raining cats and dogs out here, man. Is that the tears of all the old Baylor fans that Kim Mulkey's leaving? I can't really tell. That might actually just be rain. I don't know. Man, I'm excited for the spring game, and that's all that matters. If she goes, she goes. But let's talk about some college football. Let's talk about the spring game. Tomorrow, no holds barred. I just want to see progression. I want to see the O-line actually blocking somebody. I want to see how good this D tackle from LSU is. I want to know, is he actually that good, or is that just him going against our O-line? I want to see everybody flying around, having fun. And, hey, it's a spring game, so let's get some reps for all the QBs. Maybe we can get some good film on some guys. And Baylor Nation gets to come together again. For those that weren't able to make it to Indy, we get to come together in McLean Stadium. A lot of people didn't get to do that this last fall. So that's all that matters. If LSU wants to work out the money and their media people want to run a story, so be it. I'm in town not for Kim Mulkey, whether or not she's coming, she's staying. I'm in town for a spring game. That's all I care about right now. And I love women's basketball, but, hey, basketball season's over. It's football time now. Sic'em Bears.
Thank you,
Good
T-Rex.
show, and, hey, donate to the documentary.
Appreciate the call. Go to SicEm365.com/store, and Colt said that there was $300 like just during the time we had Chris Charles Scott on the show and some more donations as well.
Let's get this rain out of the way for tomorrow.
Great, yeah. No kidding. Grayson Grunhafer is next. Gil Brandt, Sam Kahn Jr., and also Tyrone Thurman, and maybe more. SicEm365 Radio continues.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, we're back. 3 o'clock hour. Gil Brandt in about 10 minutes. And we're now joined by Grayson Grundhafer. Let's get straight to it, and also monitoring the news as we've discussed in some of the speculation and or truth involving Kim Mulkey, LSU, and Baylor. Grayson, thanks for your time. What do you need to see tomorrow? What do you need to see at the spring game?
Yeah, I think that the easiest place that people are going to start is, to see an offensive line come out and be really effective. And, you want to see the quarterbacks come out and throw the ball really well and just, provide some confidence in the offense. But honestly, guys, for me, it's a spring game. So my biggest thing is I just want to see a team that's really well coached, a team that knows what they're doing, knows what they're trying to do, both offensively and defensively, and a team that's just going to go out there and play physical and really try to establish themselves, whether it's on offense or defense. I think those are the biggest things. Everyone's going to look a little bit rusty, a little bit not as sharp as you're going to see during the regular season. But as long as you can see a clear vision and see just kind of the game from, last fall till now, I think that's really the most important part from the game on Saturday.
Grayson, defensively, is there a particular, or I guess not even defensively, but amongst the young players, who are some of the young players you're looking forward to watching?
Yeah, I guess we can consider Siaki Ika a young guy since he's only a sophomore. So I'm really excited to see him. I think that there's been a lot of hype about him, and it's very deserving. He's a guy who is going to be very impactful for this defense, and he's a guy who just does a great job clogging up running lanes, but he also can get into the backfield a little bit. And he's kind of turning into, Bravion Roy from 2019. That's the kind of impact he could have. I'm not sure if he's as good as Bravion was that single season, but I think he's working his way to that point. So he's definitely one. I would say, a couple other guys that I'm very curious in watching are Al Walcott at cornerback, Lorando Johnson at the star position, most likely. I think that's where he's going to fit in. He might play some safety as well, but he's gotten a lot of hype, and he was a big-time prospect when he was coming out of high school. So those two guys specifically on the defensive side. Offensively, I think, any of the quarterbacks, if they're younger, they're definitely going to be guys to watch. But I also think another guy that I'm really going to focus on, because I just want to see exactly how big of a contribution he could have this season, and that is Javon Gibson, the true freshman, early enrollee. He's a very talented player and might be able to sneak into some formations for the Baylor Bears in the fall, which would be a big credit to him, because a lot of times true freshmen aren't able to do that.
Last Saturday, we didn't get to see a lot of the receivers. I mean, they were out there and whatnot, but there just wasn't a lot of big plays, numerous plays. But this is a group that Chancey Stuckey's inheriting with, R.J. Sneed and Tyquan Thornton. You got, guys from the last 3 or 4 recruiting classes that have all stacked up now as well, the Jackson Gleasons and Gavin Holmes, even though he's sidelined right now. And then the young guys that you just mentioned. Grayson, what have you thought of what you've heard about Chancey Stuckey and what he's done with this group, and how much of a jump are you potentially expecting in this Jeff Grimes offense for those guys?
Yeah, I've heard great things about him, honestly, just how he's kind of fit into the culture that they're trying to instill on the offensive side at Baylor, and also just his ability to relate with the players extremely well. And, this is mainly from recruits that I'm hearing this from. He's just a guy that they get along really well with, and a guy who I think they're definitely open to taking coaching from, which I think is a big deal. When you're a coach at the Division I level, you got to be able to instill that confidence in your players that if they listen to you, they're going to have a lot of success. And as far as this wide receiver group, I think it has a chance to be really good. But I will say, I think there are a couple guys that could raise the ceiling even higher. And what I mean by that is I think we know what Baylor is going to get from R.J. Sneed and Tyquan Thornton after the big, spring he has had. And I think you could also probably say that about, Josh Fleeks as well, because he's been in the offense for a long time. But there's 3 guys who I think can raise this ceiling to a whole nother level. One of them has been a guy that I've been really high on since he was coming out of high school, and that's Jalen Ellis. I think he's just a complete difference maker. He's just different than the wide receivers that they have, with the ability to go over the top of the defense, but also has great yards after catch ability. And when you put a combo like that together, you can be very scary for a defense to try to figure out. I would also say Jackson Gleason's speed, and then, of course, Drew Estrada's experience as a grad transfer. Those 3 guys are the guys I'm very focused on, because I think they can take this group from a really good group to an elite group, and I think that's what Baylor's striving for.
By the way, and this is just me from kind of just digging around a little bit, and it's not like breaking news or anything, but the quarterback job, obviously they have been very thorough in allowing everybody to have a lot of equal reps, whether it's Brandon Bass or whether it's Jacob Zeno, who seems to be the leader in the clubhouse, and everybody else in between. And I think they're going to do that again tomorrow. So anyone that expects, for example, one quarterback to have 2 or 3 times the number of reps, they're not going to do that tomorrow. Sean Bell, Jeff Grimes, or whatever, it appears as if that's what they're going to do. I don't know this, though, Grayson. Are they going to set it up against a team-on-team, like there's a green or a gold or whoever, or is it just going to be offense against defense all the time?
Yeah, so I think they're going to do green versus gold, but I don't know this for sure, but most times the format is the team, say the green team has the first team offense and the second team defense, then the gold team would have the second team offense and the first team defense, if that makes sense. So if they're not doing like a draft, then that's how the format will most likely be. So, you'd have 1s go against 1s, 2s goes against 2s. But I do agree with you in the premise that the quarterbacks are all going to get reps with the 1s, especially Bohannon, Zeno, and Chapin. I know Drones has had a little bit of run, but he's mainly been doing a lot of the 7-on-7 work. So I'm curious if he's going to get the same amount of reps as the other 3. But I think we're going to know a lot from this game. I think that the first 2 scrimmages have kind of maybe painted this image that Jacob Zeno is the leader. He's the guy who I expected to be, but I think that there's still a lot of time left in this. You know, guys, it's still very early in this process. I think it's going to last through the fall. And while I expect it to be Zeno at the end of the day, I think Bohannon and Chapin have plenty of fight left in them. And, you know, we'll continue to see if Kyron Drones can continue to grow his game throughout the summer and into the fall to see if he can make it interesting as well.
Grayson, what are they expecting recruiting-wise, if anything, tomorrow?
Oh, guys, I have a huge list up on the premium side as far as the recruiting goes, but I think they're going to have over 30 prospects with offers on campus, and that entails, you know, they have mostly, I think all but 2 of their 22 commits will be on campus watching the game, and then some 2021 signees as well, Romario Noel, Cam Bonner, Tevin Williams, they're coming down to watch the spring game as well, and then 2023 prospects as well, as Baylor's really trying to get out ahead of all these other schools. Their goal is to get guys on campus as early and as often as possible, and getting them on campus April 24th, that will go a long way to allowing them to get back on campus in June as well and just continue to stack up those visits so they make sure they're able to get exposure with all of these highly rated prospects.
All right, start doing your opposite rain dance because it is flooding cats, dogs, and everything else in between. Grayson, thanks for your time. Look forward to a really fun and busy day tomorrow as Baylor caps off their spring drills. The game at 12, McLean Stadium. We'll be all over it before, during, and after as well. Coming up next, Pro Football Hall of Famer Gil Brandt, SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
That one picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio, the 4 o'clock hour. Craig Smoak, David Smoak, and Pro Football Hall of Famer, class of 2019, the legend in Gil Brandt joins us as the NFL draft next week at this time would be working in on day number 2. Gil, thank you very much. Is it still always the same when someone introduces you and it says Pro Football Hall of Fame, Gil Brandt?
You know, David, you ought to be in the Radio Hall of Fame, if there is such a thing. And any time that somebody introduces you that indicates you've reached a high plateau, it's a great feeling.
Gil Brandt with us. The draft is a week from, well, it's next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, Gil, what are your thoughts about all these quarterbacks appear to be jamming up the top 5 or 10 picks in the draft, and that the first 8 or 10 picks may all go offense based on what at least it looks like?
Well, yeah, you're right. They could the first 10 or 11 picks could all go defense. Offense, excuse me. And you heard about the latest one, right? The Brown, the Oklahoma guy, the guy that was too heavy to play.
Yes.
They just made a trade with Kansas City. Baltimore and Kansas City just made a trade for them. So this is going to be an interesting draft. You know, David, normally 1,800 players have agents for the draft. That means they've applied. This year, I think there's 700. So there's a lot less players involved in the draft this year than ever before. And in all probability, there's going to be not as much strength in the draft. I thought probably when we get to the end of the draft, a fourth-round draft was like a sixth-round draft last year in last year's particular draft. Now, if you own some choices for next year, it should be good.
Gil,
but I'll tell you what, your friends in Waco at Carolina will do a good job.
Yeah, Matt Rule talking about Carolina and what they're looking for.
Gil, how much?
Well, he does a great job.
Gil, how much do you think the build-up to the draft not being what it has typically been? I know there were pro days and, combine kind of and things like that, but do you think it's going to make evaluations harder for teams this year than maybe it has been in years past?
Well, it will. The pro days were exceptional this year. I think that only one or two guys didn't fail to run. Now, what happens is that, sometimes where you run is different than where you've worked on previously. And by that, I'm trying to say, like at Ohio State, they ran on a very, very fast, hard surface this year, and it made those guys a lot faster. The Penn State guys, can you imagine running a 4.37 or a 4.34 for a 250-pound man as a defensive lineman? But you know what? For many, many years, there's always been obstacles, and for somehow or other, just like you people in the radio business, you find a way to pass over the obstacle and make out just as well. And I think that it's an excuse if we miss on a guy, but I do think that the teams will be ready.
Gil, you once said that what you tried to do with the Cowboys and what you guys actually did really, really well for decades with the Cowboys is what is an actual football player made of? Strength, explosion, competitiveness, agility, and balance, and then how does that fit what you need or the upside as well? It's one thing to say it. You guys did it for years and years and years. You were ahead of the curve. How difficult is it actually to get it done, to actually then find that player?
Well, when you find them, usually you have an exceptional player. You know, a pretty good player that has exceptional numbers is Carter, a running back from North Carolina this year. And if I'm a fantasy football player next year, I'd be sure I had Carter on my team as a rookie, because I think he'll do pretty good as at the running back position. So when you get a guy that runs a under seven short three cone drill, or a short shuttle that's right at 4 flat and under 4 flat like he has, usually they've got the things that you need to be a good player, but don't show up because it has a lack of size. The guy's only 5'7" and 1/8" or something like that. So you have to take a chance on taking a small, short running back that has some characteristics that have led to success in the past, and that's the kind of guy that you can get with a guy like Carter.
Gil, what do you think of this group of quarterbacks? I know there's the handful right there at the top of the draft that are being viewed highly, but overall, how do they kind of compare to groups of the past?
Well, you know, the quarterback that we get today, coming out of college, is so much more developed than ever before. You know, Don Troll was an old Baylor quarterback many years ago, and Baylor under John Bridges threw the ball maybe 100 times a season. They were a passing team. Now we get guys that throw the ball 55 and 60 times a game. Kids in high school throw it so many times a game, and kids, it's a new fact. It's like putting. You know, if you practice putting enough, you do become a good putter, and you get so much more background as a quarterback today than ever before, and people rely on the passing game. You know, today we throw the ball, I think, 58% of the time.
Gil, the Cowboys obviously have needs all across the board. They have the number 10 pick in the draft. There's Surtain and there's J.C. Horn, whose dad played with the Saints. We know about him. But they also need others on defense. They need a linebacker. So let's move into maybe day 2. What do you think about Pete Werner from Ohio State and someone that seems to be a little under the radar because of Baron Browning and others at Ohio State?
Well, you are the consummate guy for working and digging, because if he's there in the second round, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you have the Cowboys pick on the second round. The Ohio State black linebacker, who I think is be very good. You know, there are not many linebackers in this draft, and so you have to take one when you can get one. If provided you don't get out of line and take a guy that should be taken on the 4th round in the second round, is what it is. Now maybe they'll go for two. Maybe they'll go for another strong safety. Maybe they'll go. I think they'll go for a defensive player is what they'll do, because they have a lot of offense on their side right now.
Gil, how good of a prospect is Penei Sewell out of Oregon, the big offensive lineman?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Gil, how good of a prospect is Penei Sewell, the big offensive lineman out of Oregon, who has kind of been pegged as a top 10 type of guy since all the way back to last year? Just where do you kind of stack him up in the grand scheme of things?
Well, he's my 4th or 5th ranked player as far as just the best player. And I've got him ranked ahead of the quarterback from Ohio State as an example. He won't be drafted ahead of the quarterback from Ohio State because people now know they have to get a quarterback when they can, and consequently they draft him way higher than they should, is what it amounts to. So we'll see. There's a possibility you could have 5 quarterbacks go in the first 5 picks in the first round.
Yeah, it's crazy how many are there. Gil, you have, I'm sure, because of your knowledge and your insight and your memory, 1,000 draft day stories. Is there one in particular that is either funny or something that's kind of a go-to memory for you when the draft was so different back in the 60s than it is now? But 1 or 2 stories that are your favorite draft day stories?
My favorite draft pick story was when I sent a doctor from Portland, Oregon, down to Eugene, Oregon, to examine Mel Renfro before we picked Renfro in the draft in the second round because of a hand injury that he'd obtained. And we held up the draft for about 5 hours. And Vince Lombardi walking over to our table at one time and saying, "What's wrong? Did your machine break down?" So I have of Jacksonville selecting the wrong guy. They sent their person to New York to make a pick, and he picked the wrong guy, and they got the pick they wanted for the real first round on the second round, and he turned out to be pretty good. The guy they picked in the first round lasted about 2 years.
Gil, since you brought up Jacksonville there, what do you think of Urban Meyer coming into the pro game as their new head coach? And is Trevor Lawrence just a no-doubt pick in your mind, or would you maybe have other ideas in mind if you were Jacksonville?
Well, I first knew Urban when he was an assistant coach with Sonny at Colorado State University. And every place he's been, he's had success. He's a guy who just knows how to coach football. He knows how to recruit football players. Now, is it going to be the same when you're recruiting as when you're drafting? The quarterback that he's taken, somebody asked me to describe him the other day. And I said, well, he's Elway on offense and Manning on defense is what he is. So he should be pretty good. And when you got a quarterback, if you remember, Manning, his first year, they threw 28 interceptions. They won, 1 or 2 games. And then the next year they came back the second year and were in the playoffs is what it is. So, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And if you know how to coach quarterbacks, you have a chance is what it is. So, the draft gets more involved every year, with depth of it as to what you know and what you look for to fill a certain spot. Somebody says, I need a left guard, and a left guard might be somebody I can fill a lot easier than saying I need a left tackle. And so you need to know when to draft them, where to draft them, and how to draft them.
Gil, last thing, and thank you so much as always. Anytime you can be on with us, you watched what Baylor did, the men's basketball program. What Scott Drew has done over his time. You knew what the women's program has done under Kim Mulkey, but they annihilated the tournament after they got through Villanova and destroyed a really, really good Gonzaga team. Your thoughts about what you've seen from your time of watching Baylor, what Scott Drew's done, and what you saw in Indianapolis?
Well, let me tell you a little inside story. About a month before the end of the season, I was called by Indiana. And they said, we'd like to make a change in our coaches, but we got a problem. We got a $10 million buyout on our present coach. But if we were to make a change on this buyout, who would we go after? And I said, go after the Baylor coach, go after the Texas Tech coach. And that's how those two names got out originally. But I think that what Baylor did and how he's done it is amazing. That was a fine, well-coached basketball team. And I'll tell you what, the girls' team just doesn't seem to get any breaks.
Yeah, they've had some things along the way. They've won the 3 national titles as well. Gil, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you so much, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you, Smoke Team. Keep up that chili coming too, will you?
Yes, sir, I will. That's Gil Brandt, the Hall of Famer class of 2019. So there was some smoke about Indiana, remember that. But it was also during the tournament. I'm also being told that not only were they going to try to at least have a conversation with Scott Drew, but they just couldn't wait that long because they're busy. And so they ended up making the decision with Mike Woodson. Coming up next, Sam Conn Jr. on the weekend of college football spring games, including Baylor's tomorrow. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got the great savings events going on right now. New and pre-owned cars on the lot are priced to move with thousands in savings on pretty much every vehicle that you will come across at Richard Carr. They've been in business for a long time, and part of the reason why is because they treat people so good. In just a moment, I'll tell you about that great customer service, but first, let's tell you about those deals they have going on during the 22-year anniversary sales event. 3 big rows, first-class seating, power, technology, safety, a superior ride. Well, combine all those things, you have the Buick Enclave, which is second to none. And during the Richard Carr Anniversary Sales Event, you can save $8,500 on a Buick Enclave. You've also got the power and luxury of the GMC Sierra truck. You can save $8,000 on a 2021 GMC Sierra, or save $7,000 off 2021 GMC Acadias, $6,750 off 2021 GMC Terrains. Rich Car Motors, speaking of that customer service, they're a local family dealer. They're proud Baylor Bears, and they want to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. So stop by their clean and disinfected showroom and take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. Just give the dealership a ring, and they will hook that up just in case you may not be able to come for whatever reason, or maybe a little bit sketched out because it's still the pandemic or what have you. Well, they've got ways around that. Check them out now. Go by the showroom or give them a call and have them bring the test drive to you. The big 22-year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr, and Richard Carr Motors wants to say congratulations to the national champion, Baylor Bears.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Tyrone Thurman, former Texas Tech star, being a part of the class of 2020, actually. We'll have it in May 1st of next weekend at the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted along with Eric Dickerson, among others. He'll join us in the next segment. Then at 5 o'clock, we were going to run Grant Taff again from earlier this week. That is up on the site. We are going to have more on the Kim Mulkey story, and a great text that I just got on a perspective from the LSU view of Kim Mulkey, and we'll read that to you momentarily. Sam Kahn Jr. from theathletic.com. Great that he's back covering college football like he does so well, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. So tomorrow is basically spring day extravaganza. I know there's probably several, Sam, that you're focused on, and you're covering the Big 12 in Texas as well. But which one intrigues you the most?
Probably Texas, mainly because everything is new there. You know, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new head coach, everything. And so obviously Steve Sarkisian comes with a lot of expectations at Texas. So, and they have a quarterback battle. Like I think most programs have, actually, most of the programs I cover in the state of Texas have, but I think TCU might be the only one, at least among the Power 5 programs, that has an incumbent ready to go. So Sark is definitely the one that I'm watching the closest, but definitely keeping an eye on Texas A&M. They have, 3 quarterbacks battling, and Baylor, of course, has 4 battling there. And Texas Tech, they had theirs last weekend, but they have 4 or 5 guys as well. So there's a lot of interesting storylines across the state so far, and I've made a few stops at a few places, and definitely been interesting to see where this state is as a whole. I think a lot of programs, A&M, I think coming off the big season they had, they're certainly trending up. I think there's a lot of question marks for a lot of the other schools.
What have you heard as far as that Texas quarterback battle, Sam, and just kind of the initial impressions of Sarkisian being there for 2-3 months now?
Yeah, so as you would expect, Casey Thompson's a little bit ahead of Hudson, just in the fact that he's got more experience. He's been in the college program for 3 years, and as soon as Sark got the job, Casey dove right in, and he's been very aggressive. He's been waiting his turn, for 3 years, and he's been patient, but he's ready to go. And I don't count out Hudson Card by any stretch. Hudson's a tremendous athlete, but as a redshirt freshman, I think I would be a little surprised if in September when they kick off against Louisiana if Casey Thompson wasn't the quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see how they look tomorrow. Steve Sarkisian has been adamant that they're gonna play this out, and I think that's how most coaches do it. They'll go into the fall and compete. But at this point, I think Casey Thompson probably has a slight edge.
You have Texas Tech with Wells there, and they've got a few things. They've had some transfers come in and all. What are you hearing out of Lubbock?
I think the interesting thing about Texas Tech is, for once, they probably feel better about their defense going into the season than they do offensively. And I don't know when's the last time that happened. Maybe Spike Dykes was around. Definitely before the Mike Leach era. But they're very deep on defense. They've got virtually their entire front 7 back, entire defensive line, linebacker room, and they've got some experience on the back end as well. Sonny Cumbie, I think it was a great move to bring him back to Lubbock. The former Tech quarterback. He's been there also as an assistant. He was there with Cliff, in Cliff's first year. I think it'll be a good fit, and he's got to pick a quarterback. Out of the guys I saw last week in the spring game, Tyler Shuck, the transfer from Oregon, in my opinion, is physically the most gifted of the bunch. I would think he's the favorite going into the fall. Not to count on Henry Columbia, but I think Shuck is the most talented of the group. They did lose a receiver, their leading receiver, Eric Ezekama. He broke his arm last week, so he'll be out for probably most of the summer. The office, that's where he is in August. But they've got some running backs back, and they're going to have to. I'll be interested to see how they develop on the offensive line. And definitely, when I was there, you definitely saw the defensive line getting the best of that front five offensively. So they're going to have to develop there, I think, a little bit. But definitely Tech, I think, could take a step forward defensively. It'll be interesting to see if they can figure it out on offense.
Do you get any kind of sense out there that Matt Wells is playing for his job this year? And do you think that's the case, or do you think he's maybe got a little bit more rope than that?
I mean, Kirby Hocutt is definitely confident in him, but the fans and alumni, I think there was definitely pressure at the end of last season, which is why they made the move to change offensive coordinators. And I think Texas Tech probably has to get to a bowl game, have a winning record, for Matt Wells to solidify himself another year or two. So definitely, I think there's some pressure going into the season for them and for him to take a step up forward. And they had some losses in the first couple of years. That first year they lost to Kansas was tough. And then last year, they had Texas on the ropes and lost that 15-point lead at the end. And, those are things that I think have definitely ruffled up the fans and alumni a little bit. So I think he needs a big year without question.
I'll tell you this as well. The story you did about quarterbacks in the state of Texas is fantastic. I know it's kind of a Q&A. Our Texas program's whiffing on keeping the top quarterbacks home. A&M atop the SEC West. When will it happen? But the stat that kind of popped out at me, and we know that Clemson or Ohio State or Alabama, they can come in here and pluck whoever they want. They seem anytime they want. In the last 9 signing classes, Alabama and Ohio State have combined to sign 20% of the 90 prospects who were ranked in the top 10 in Texas. Now, that is staggering, and it's not just 1 or 2. It's getting to be a handful.
That is a problem for these in-state programs. That is the reason why I think you've seen some of these programs plateau to some extent and have had trouble. That's why you see the Texas and Texas A&M are not winning conference championships or contending for them at this point, because those kids that you're talking about, those top 10 in Texas, those are the 4 and 5 stars. Those are the difference makers. Those are the Jalen Waddle, who just finished up a career at Alabama, who's going to probably be a first-round draft pick. That's a kid from Houston. You think Texas A&M is going to use that guy? They probably could have. Those are the kinds of players that Alabama and Ohio State are coming in to get. And I think this is an extension of the change that has happened in the recruiting landscape in Texas ever since Texas A&M moved to the SEC. You've seen many more SEC West teams come in, even some SEC East teams come in. Obviously, Ohio State has been pretty good. Clemson, as you mentioned, they've been able to get a few players, not a ton, but a few. But it's enough of those level of guys. It's not, the guys under the radar. It's the top guys these guys are getting. And that has made it tough because all those players that are going to those schools, they're not going to the schools here, and that's impacting these teams' chances of winning championships.
Sam, where does A&M feel like it fits in the race this year? I mean, I know they're at the point where they're always going to feel like they're contending in the SEC West, but are changing quarterbacks and losing some guys. How does Jimbo and company feel about heading into this season?
I think there's 2 big question marks. It's that offensive line where they lose 4 or 5 starters, and a quarterback, obviously, where they have 3 guys who are relatively inexperienced that are going to be battling for the job. Everywhere else, they feel good. Defensively, they've got 9 starters back. They feel like defensively they may be as good as they've been in a couple decades. They feel really strongly about where they are on that side of the ball. And then at skill positions on offense, they've got Jalen Weidemeyer back with the Mackey Award finals at tight end. They've got Anaya Smith, who is a versatile talent, both at running back, receiver, return game, you name it. They've got 2 running backs who are outstanding, Isaiah Spiller and Devon Achane. Achane's a track star who's been spending his spring doing that, but is tremendously athletic. We saw him in the bowl game. He went for over 100 yards. So they've got a lot of talent to work with. It's just those 2 key pieces, which are 2 vital pieces. How long is it going to take them to come along? And can the defense and can these skill guys do enough early in the season to help those other guys come along, to help the quarterback, whoever it may be, learn the ropes and get acclimated, so that by the time you hit Alabama on October 9th, when they come to Kyle Field, are you going to be in the position to try and contend and win that game?
Sam, I want to close it out with this, and we'll see a lot of games tomorrow. I mean, all over the country and of sports, a lot of teams, Oklahoma, others as well. We mentioned the ones, picked a few as well. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you're back doing what you do because you did it very well at ESPN. And you were, and I've said this to you before, whenever we had something or there was an interview that had impact on some sort of stories that were going on, whether it was Mac Rhodes or Matt Rule or Dave Aranda or whoever else, you always did give us credit. We appreciate that. And also hope to see you soon at a game at McLean Stadium.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you guys do a wonderful job. I admire the way you guys do the job, and I hope to see you guys soon. I hope to make a lot of trips to Waco this fall.
Thank you. Sam Kahn Jr. with The Athletic covers college football, and he does have that story if you haven't read it, and that's a great site. I'm on it. It's probably one of the few that I actually will put money into to kind of get the information. It is stunning if you think about it, what a lot of teams are doing. And yes, the fact that it's been since 2005 since the state of Texas won a national title, and before that, it was 30 years before Texas won the other one, 1970. Tech hasn't won one. Baylor flirted with at least the conversation, as did TCU in 2014. But other than that, really, Texas had the 2009 game with Alabama.
Tech was very involved in that.
In 2008.
They didn't get their heads kicked in by Oklahoma after beating Texas, but they were in the race.
But there has not been. And that's why Baylor winning, not just for the Big 12, because it had only been Kansas, although Texas Tech was on the golly just, 2-3 years ago, had that in the bag. It's not only good for a state that's now playing great men's basketball, but also for the Big 12 to be able to raise that banner as well. When we come back, he's going to be a part of the class of 2020 in 2021 with Tyrone Thurman, former star at Midland Lee, also a Texas Tech dynamic player. His thoughts about being inducted into the High School Football Hall of Fame, and then a couple of texts that we have received as far as the Kim Mulkey, LSU Baylor, the discussions. Where is that? We're going to open up the entire 5 o'clock hour to that, plus a couple of other notes as well. This is SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be. How does he do that? You contact them by going online, PettyClinicLowT.com. There's a phone number. You could call the number as well and tell them, hey, David Smoak sent me. And he told me about testosterone. And I'm not so sure I'm at the age where that could start to be a problem. Or maybe you feel like a little bit lethargic. You're not sleeping well. And you have problems as well, possibly in the bedroom with your sex drive or ED. Nothing wrong with admitting what you have if it can get better. And testosterone being raised within your body can help you feel better in many ways. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues when it comes to low testosterone. So it could be you. Maybe not. But if you have any of what I just mentioned, perhaps. And by the way, it's not just testosterone and working on the symptoms, also just overall wellness for men. PettyClinicLowT.com can set you up with blood work, lab work. Dr. Petty will look at your lab work and your testosterone levels. And then if it's too low, put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels to help overcome some of the deficiencies you've had with what I mentioned earlier, whether it's lethargic, it may be energy, sleeping, sex drive, ED, any of the above, maybe just one of those things, and help you become a high-performance man that you want and need to be. It's PettyClinicLowT.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. A week from tomorrow, the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame will be larger. We've heard from David Warren, who played at John Tyler. We've heard as well, in fact, Monday, we'll have Chuck Dykes, who was a hell of a player at Arkansas, played at Garland. And Eric Dickerson's a part of the class. Some coaches are a part of the class. Joe Martin, Dan Hooks, among others. And Tyrone Thurman, who went to Lee High School in Midland, former Texas Tech star as well, joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. Tyrone, it's great to have you on. You were so electric and did a lot of things. What did the call mean to you? I know it's been kind of delayed because of all the stuff, COVID and much more, but when you got the call that you're going to be a member of the Hall of Fame in Texas, high school football, what did that mean to you?
It was a great honor. I was very excited to hear that they selected me to be on the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. So it was a great honor.
Midland Lee. When you think of Midland Lee, what do you think?
A great tradition, man. Champions, home of champions. You know, even though we failed to get to the state champ, win the state championship my junior year, but we still have a great tradition going on at Midland Lady.
So what did it mean when they went on that crazy run with Cedric Benson and just started mauling people?
That was amazing. That just showed people that 4-5A was great back in the day, and still in Midland Lady is still good right about now. But it just showed what type of talent that comes through Midland.
Tyrone Thurman, our guest on SicEm365 Radio, went to Lee High School in Midland, as I mentioned. Also went to Texas Tech. Played with the Cowboys for a little bit. Also a little bit as well in some other professional leagues, including with the CFL Ottawa Rough Riders at the time. You made the All-American team. When I think of Tyrone Thurman, I think of someone that not many people would ever catch, if anyone. Did anyone ever actually catch you when you got loose in high school or college?
Not in high school, but in college they did. One of the fastest guys I ever played ball against, a guy from Baylor University. I was returning a punt return for a touchdown. He had an angle on me. He ended up catching me like 10 yards away from the end zone. So, yes, I have been caught from behind.
What was that like? Actually,
surprising.
Like, for me, that wouldn't be a problem. As a dog or a human, it doesn't matter. They're going to catch me. But what was that like for you?
I was frustrated because I wanted a touchdown. You always want to score touchdowns, but I was frustrated. But at the end of the day, he was fast. He was real fast.
How much did Spike Dykes have an influence on your life? Obviously in high school, but also in college as well.
That's my father away from home. Him and Mama Dykes was my family away from home. That's one of the reasons why I went to Texas Tech, was to follow in his footsteps. He gave me the opportunity at Midland Lee. And then again, he recruited me to go to Texas Tech. I think, from my understanding, he was the reason why I did. The reason why Tech wanted me is because how much positive feedback he gave to Coach Moore during my time at Midland Lee. Because, if you look at me, I'm just 5'2"3/4. Back then, I was probably shorter than what I am now. But, being that size, you don't get a lot of D1 schools looking at you. So I think he helped me get to Texas Tech. But again, he was my family. He was my father away from my father.
How many D1 offers did you have?
I want to say 3.
Okay.
I had TCU looking at me, but I also had University of Texas out of El Paso. They offered me a scholarship as well. So I didn't want to go to El Paso. That's too far away from my home.
Yeah.
Lubbock is right down the street.
So what was that like when Texas Tech gives you that official offer? I had to imagine that'd be pretty special.
It was. Coach Moore, he called me into his office when I was on a trip down there, and he told me that he wanted to offer me a scholarship when I come to Tech with the scholarship, and I said yes, sir, hands down, no doubt about it. Thank you for the offer.
Tyrone, when you hear stories about whether linebackers are too short to play in the NFL, and then eventually Datwin and many others go on to be fantastic, or guys who are too small, too short, like Devontae Smith at Alabama. We know and see how great he is. He won the Heisman, but then you hear about, he only weighs 168 pounds or so. What is it like to be told by enough people that you're not big enough?
I can't speak for Devontae, but I can just speak for myself. It was a motivation period for me because I was always told that I was a good athlete, but I was also told that I was too small to succeed on the next level. But, looking back at those times, those was motivation times for me. And so that made me go out there and strive and to be the best that I could be. My motto is always believe in yourself. So I always believed in me, and I always believed in my athletic ability. So that's the reason why I never took to the heart of people saying I was too small to accomplish things.
Well, obviously you proved that as well. The ability for you to return kicks, which of course you were named All-American back in 1982 or 83, I think it was. 88, I'm sorry. You were named an All-American. That is a position. That's I think one of the most underrated things someone does is catch a kick and run it into what are 11 people who want to hurt you. I know that's the same thing every time someone takes a snap on offense, but it's different because you're full speed and so is everybody else. Was that always just kind of natural to you?
It's funny that you asked that question because there was a lot of times when I was in high school, I would always let the ball bounce and try to go get it and use my speed to try to outrun somebody. But once I got used to catching the ball out the air, it was just a habit that I didn't break. You know, I just you have to rotate your head up and down, looking for the ball, looking for the defender coming down. But what also helped me being a good returner was the guys up front. You know, it's one thing about football and any sports that you have teammates. Teammates make you better than what you actually really is. So I had great teammates that was in front of me doing their job by blocking. And the easiest thing I could have done was catch the ball.
Tyrone Thurman is going to be a class on Saturday, May the 1st, inducted into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. You've known about this for quite some time. What's it like to have to wait so long?
You know, it's not, you know, as long as you know you're getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, you know, it's just waiting for the time to come. You know, it's like they're going to take it away from them because they already put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just waiting for that time to come.
And are you in the Texas Tech Hall of Fame, the Athletic Hall of Fame? Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. I was inducted in 2002 with Billy Joe Tolliver and some more great people. But yes, sir, I am inducted in Texas Tech Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had a chance to be with the Cowboys in 1989. That was the first year of Jimmy Johnson. What was your experience then?
It was a great experience. Jimmy Johnson is a great coach. He's a no-nonsense coach. I had some of those type of coaches when I was growing up. He's all about perfectionist. So it was a great opportunity. I learned a lot while I was on the squad. I have made some good friends as of today. So, but it was a great experience for me to go through during that time.
What would Tyrone Thurman do now in the offenses that you see that are even more wide open and all about spacing?
You know, I'm not too much to be bragging on myself, but I would love to be in an offense like these guys have today, man. The run and shoot offense, the air it out offense. You know, I would love to be that slot receiver, you know, like a Wes Welker, Amidala. The one that just retired from New England Patriots. Those guys right there, those pretty much are the offensive guys. They're guys that catch the ball inside where contact's going to be there. And us being as small as we are small, we can take the impact. But I would love to be in the offense as of today.
Yeah, Danny Amendola. I think who we were trying to think of. Texas Tech had a few of those guys, man. They've had a few guys like that. And Amendola's part of the class too, right? That's kind of cool to have the double dip of Texas Tech.
From his times at the Woodlands High School. So there's another Red Raider involved. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is. Yes. I met his brother when we got honored at the Texas High School state championship last year. I met his brother at that function as well. But it was unfortunate he couldn't be there because he was still playing ball.
Tyrone Thurman is going to be a part of that class coming up on May the 1st. Have you thought about what you're going to say?
You know, I have thought about what I'm going to say. You know, even though that this award always goes to individual people, and I'm blessed to be that individual person, but my award goes out to the guys that I played with. You know, those guys are the ones who made Tyrone Thurman who he is today in a lot of people's lives, dealing with Texas Tech and going back down to Midland League. So if I didn't have the type of teammates that I did have during those times, I wouldn't be who I am today. So those guys don't get the credit when I go down to Waco and speak because it's going to be their award as well as mine.
Now tell everybody where you are. You mentioned earlier now you're working for the city of Irving, and that's what you're doing right now. How long have you been in Irving, Texas?
I've been in Irving for a long time. Since when I was with the Cowboys, when I left Dallas with the Canada and came back, I made Dallas my home. Mm-hmm. But I've been with the city of Irving over 25 years now, and I work for the Park and Recreation Department where I put a lot of my emphasis in the kids, teaching them. I also teach fundamentals of sports, dealing with basketball, football, t-ball, soccer. I teach them the fundamental stuff as well as many other things as well.
Been a tough stretch for Texas Tech. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury left, though Coach Wells is there now, and it's kind of a year they need to kind of maybe show some progress Your thoughts about where the Red Raiders are right now in football?
Oh, we're gonna be all right. Coach Wells is a good coach. We had an opportunity to meet him and sit down and talk to him when he came down to South Lake. He's a great man, and Kirby's doing a great job with the coaches that he's brought in, and I'm glad that Coach Wells brought Sonny Cumbie back in to help with the offense. I think he's going to be a big plus for us. And so we just can't. I think we're going to have great things going to be happening this year with Texas Tech, and I can't wait to see them play this year.
Tyrone, did you ever envision a time when the most popular player in the game of football would be a Texas Tech Red Raider like Patrick Mahomes is right now?
You know what? No, I didn't. Patrick Mahomes he's a bad boy. He's a bad boy. You know, I saw he was a gunslinger while he was at Texas Tech. You saw the accolades that he did at Tech, and now he took it to another level in the NFL. So I'm just so proud and happy for him and his family.
You know, if you don't mind me asking this, Craig went to Lee High School in Tyler, which has changed the name to Legacy. You went to Midland Lee, and of course, the Rebels now is something that they're going to change. I think I believe
they're changing to Midland Legacy.
Yeah, Midland Legacy. What were your thoughts about that as someone that's where you went to high school as far as the name change?
You know what? You know, they brought that to the table when I was in high school, and to be honest with you, the way I look at it, I know what my ancestors went through back in the day for the pain and suffering that they had to go through. But me personally, that's nothing but a mascot to me. You know, it is what it is. They could have kept it. They could have left it, let it go, which they did let it go. But it didn't mean the rebel nonsense didn't mean anything to me. And matter of fact, my mother wore a rebel flag dress to a football game while I was playing ball at Midland League. So it was just a mascot to me. So that's how I look at it. And to be honest with you, I'm always going to be a rebel.
Thank you very much. Tyrone Thurman, man, you were fun to watch at Lee and obviously at Texas Tech. Appreciate your time, Tyrone. I'll see you. I'll be at the banquet on Saturday, May the 1st in Waco. Congratulations and enjoy.
Thank you, man. I thank y'all for having me, and everybody have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Tyrone Thurman now with the city of Irving. He could flat out. He was you could not catch him. Now, I mean, obviously, he didn't score every time he touched the football, but it would be interesting to watch him now. 5'2" 3/4", he said to us.
Yeah, that's pretty small. Even, you know, when you've seen other guys, I mean, those guys are typically we would call small, like 5'6.5" or 5'7.5", and so yeah, he definitely overcame a lot of odds. Great story, and now multiple-time Hall of Famer. And I happened to look up because when he said Midland Lee, I thought about, well, I wonder if they've had to think about changing their name because of obviously the high school that I went to. And I guess legacy is just the word now that's going to be used for every school that was called Lee, because now it's Tyler Lee's Tyler Legacy and Midland Lee's going to be Midland Legacy. And I don't know, I'm sure there's others that are out there that have probably made the same move. I'm not sure what the Rebels mascot, I mean, I know that's out, I'm sure, but I don't see any mention of that, more so just the school name itself. So, yeah, they're spending like a couple $1 million to overhaul that and I guess redo everything. But, yeah, I kind of enjoyed getting his thoughts because I think that's probably the thoughts of – now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if his thoughts were kind of the thoughts of the majority of people out there. But we just don't hear the majority often enough. We hear like the 5 loudest people. And I totally understand for those who would have had issues playing, you know, on a team called the Rebels. And look, at Tyler Lee, where I went, it was out of style by the time I got there in the 90s and early 2000s. But, yeah, back in the day, they were the Rebels, and they had the Rebel flag and all that. And I could see how that would be triggering to some people. Absolutely. So they had changed that before I even got there 20-something years ago and became the Red Raiders. But, you know, everybody reacts to things differently, but I do think if we really got everybody in a room, which would be impossible to do, it's just my opinion that more people would probably feel like him than feel so extreme about like, oh my God, we have to change this. That's just my opinion, though.
All right, I agree with you. I mean
on Lee, like in particular, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. And there was just there's a wave. You know, you hear about cancel culture, but there's a wave that once something hits the social media or whatever, it's like the pit bull mentality of the jaws are clenched on your leg and they're not letting go. And they want change and they demand change. And sometimes it's, for example, Wasn't there the story, and I could be wrong here, about Aunt Jemima, and they wanted to change the name, and the family didn't want the name changed. They never even asked anybody about the family. And so now, of course, that was a change as well.
Well, and I'm sure it cost the family money.
Absolutely
I would imagine that they probably lost a lot of money that was coming in. So I would be, pretty annoyed by that as well. But those, I'm just saying that there's definitely some things that needed to change, some things that needed to be reworked and all of that. I'm not really bothered at all by Lee becoming legacy, whether in Midland or in Tyler, what have you. But it was good to get a different perspective and not just assume that everybody feels the same way about it all.
All right, when we come back, when we come back to 5 o'clock hour, today we had planned on running Grant Taft from earlier this week. That is on the site, and hopefully a lot of you have also already had a chance to watch it and listen to it, if not more than one time. We appreciate that. But with all the stuff kind of flaring up with, of course, Kim Mulkey since a week ago when she was on the Baton Rouge radio station, and then it kind of was quiet a little bit. We had Mac Rhodes on Tuesday. We were expecting to have Kim Mulkey on midweek. That did not work out. This was out there. We've talked about it. We had a ton of calls and texts from you yesterday, and we'll do that again next in this 5 o'clock hour. Working on the new commit to Baylor, the young man from Arizona who could be a point guard and an addition to the team. They'd been kind of quiet. They had the 3 class of 2021 guys, but it had been kind of quiet, and so we'll try to work on him as well, Akinja. Now, when we come back, I did get a text on the text line, 254-339-1122. Armstrong will reopen the lines as well. Your thoughts about the simmering and maybe even now flames when it comes to Kim Mulkey and LSU. I received the text that made a lot of sense. And then I received a follow-up text that was kind of smart-ass in a way directed towards Mac Rhodes. I'll read them. Your thoughts. Here we go. 254-339-1122. This is SicEm365 Radio. IdealMRI.com. They are the title sponsor of this show, and they're also where you can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. I almost sounded like a Geico commercial there right a second ago, but it's true. The average MRI cost a patient $1,100 at IdealMRI.com, $497 every single time or less. You're talking about just that. That's about a $600 on the average of a break, of a lower price, of something more manageable for you. There have been MRIs that can get into the even maybe $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 or more, depends on where you are, your insurance, and much more. And Ideal MRI can help you with the insurance. So if you have a muscle or a ligament or something that you know is really, really bad, where it doesn't allow you to sleep well, you can't function during the day or at work or whatever you do, and you can't do what you were doing in the first place. And if you have a doctor that said, hey, we need to get a better look at this, we need to get an MRI of this, of your shoulder, of a knee, of your ankle, of your back, of something else, let Ideal MRI be the place you go. Located in the Central Texas Marketplace in Waco, just off of I-35 in the southern part of Waco, off the Access Road, Loop 340, and Highway 6. State-of-the-art technology MRI machine. I've been in it, and it's awfully impressive. I mean, it is state-of-the-art. And on top of that, you're going to save hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars. IdealMRI.com will set you up. You can contact them, get the appointment, or get some sort of, upfront, hey, what do I need here? Then when you get there, it's simple. You're not going to wait in a big lobby, a big waiting room for hours. You're going to get that and get in, and you're going to get an MRI. And the Texan specialists are fantastic. And then Dr. Rob Maxey or somebody else will call you and say, here's what we found. We will also make this available for you to send to your orthopedic surgeon. IdealMRI.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Oh, little step back. Beautiful on the score for Steed.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
Earlier today, Ashley Hodge with a story that Baylor landed Arizona transfer James Akinjo, 6'1", 185-pound guard, averaged 16 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds, or near 2.5 rebounds per game, and shot 40% from threes. He was first-team All-Pac-12. A little scouting report on him: competitive, tough scorer, a willing passer, also will most likely play the point guard position, has not been in a system that plays off the ball screens like Baylor does, and or with a big to create space at the rim. He will thrive in the Baylor offense for around 1, like they just won the national title with the guards, and then whether it was Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua or if it was obviously Flo Thamba, and in a way, obviously the size and space of Mark Vidal.
Well, I mean, I hope he's found his final landing spot, because this is his third school. He started out at Georgetown and then went to Arizona and now is at Baylor. Was the Big East Freshman of the Year at Georgetown about 3 years ago now. So made an impact there. And then Arizona's leading scorer in all Pac-12, so made an impact there. So, hopefully he makes the same type of impact at Baylor as well. But, gives him some size, and he will have to get clearance to play. But I guess if the new transfer rules passed, then he's free, right?
The new transfer, I thought, was April 28th.
Well, reading the CBS Sports article, he needs a transfer to play next season.
Yeah.
So I don't know how all that's working. It's getting too confusing to even keep up with what's allowed and what's not allowed anymore as far as transfers go. I would assume with the new transfer rules, that would mean he'd be free to leave. But I don't know that for sure because, as I mentioned, CBS says something about him needing to get eligibility. So we'll see. And they even mentioned that the NCAA is kind of making that look like it's going to be easier to do. So I assume he's going to be available to play next year. And, we wondered how they were going to fill out the roster with the departures to the NBA. And here's your first domino to fall with James Akinjo.
2 or 3 little notes in other sports and then to the Kim Mulkey story or where it is as of right now. Baylor baseball at number 5 ranked Texas Tech this weekend. Baylor 5-7 in the conference. Texas Tech is 7-5, but they're ranked number 5 in the country. Larry Brown, and we had on the show, what was it, a week or two ago, at Ranger Junior College. They're in the semifinals in Hutchinson, Kansas. They play Cowley tonight. They beat the number 1 seed out of the West in region was South Plains, who's in the same region with McLennan and Hill and obviously Temple and Ranger. They now play Cowley tonight in the semifinals at 5 in Hutch, and Coffeyville, Kansas, and Chipola will play in the other semifinal. Larry Brown has Ranger in the Final Four. And then this awful story involving Terrence Clark, 19-year-old former Kentucky guard, had just signed with an agency to represent him.
Yeah, Clutch Sports.
With Clutch Sports.
That's LeBron.
And he was driving away. He was in L.A., and he ran a stoplight. At least based on what I read, he was speeding, he ran a stoplight, and he also had his seatbelt on halfway. Basically, he had it around his waist, but not around his shoulders. So he had like the half seatbelt going. That's what I read in the L.A. Police Department's report yesterday. So, yeah, that's a bad combination. Speeding, hit a light post and hit a pole.
Yeah, speeding, going through a red light and not having your seatbelt on all the way. But, that's not... hopefully just that part of the story is a lesson for other people. Truly. What's hard about wearing your seatbelt? It's really not that big of a deal, but just super unfortunate there has to be a potential learning lesson like this because just wish it would never have happened. And he was going to be a guy that was going to be a millionaire here pretty soon. He was going to be a first-round draft pick. He was going to be probably a lottery pick, and had just signed with the same agency as LeBron, Clutch Sports. I think, like you said, the day before or whatever it was, or that day or whatever. It was within a very short amount of time. So truly awful situation. And, I think of his family and, most importantly, they lost a loved one. Like, that's the biggest deal by far. But, too, life was about to change, everything was feeling good. He was getting ready for the draft. He's going to be drafted. Life's going to be what everybody, dreamed of and everything, and superstar in the NBA kind of dreams. And, yeah, it's just such an awful, awful tragedy.
19 years old, on the cusp of making a lot of money and living a dream, and now, unfortunately, he is gone. The Kentucky fan, everyone. I saw Dee Richards.
How could you not? Just a 19-year-old kid who had the world by the you-know-whats, and just really unfortunate.
Now, to the Kim Mulkey latest, and we have mentioned a little bit, and the Baylor acrobatic and tumbling. Thank you, Armstrong. I appreciate that. Place will go for a national championship tonight after they beat Oregon yet again. Now they'll play Azusa Pacific, and so that's tonight with acrobatic and tumbling.
And I would have thought that Oregon would have been like the national championship game or competition, whatever. But, yeah, Azusa Pacific, I noticed they've got a lot of the all A&T selections, and they're obviously very good, so it'll be quite the match for sure. And hopefully the A&T team can get it done and bring another trophy back to Waco.
Now, the text line. This is an interesting text. It makes a lot of sense. It at least gives maybe a perspective from the LSU side, because we've discussed that before. And the Kim Mulkey, the latest, is more and more smoke and even a few flames that perhaps LSU's on the edge or the cusp of perhaps getting that deal done. May still run through the weekend. I mentioned as well, it's almost now that it's almost a stalemate, it seems like to me, between Kim and Baylor. And so it appears as if this does have more. If you had a meter, like 50%, it was always 50-50 to me, although after maybe making a couple of calls on Wednesday, I thought, man, maybe it's a little bit more 60-40 with her leaving. I think it's now farther over to the right. Here's a text that we received on the text line, brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine. LSU's hidden agenda. The interesting part of this text is from an 800 number. Baylor has never used Kim Mulkey correctly. Woodward, the AD at LSU, wants her for fundraising. Mulkey can bring in money for any cause his athletic department needs. She is the queen down on the bayou. Baylor never figured out what she could do besides basketball. Well, anyone that watched her walk into an LSU baseball stadium to watch Kramer play gets it. It was like Elvis just walked in the door. Forget the salary and the perks. Kim's fundraising alone will bring in far more than she will ever cost. That is the Mulkey draw at LSU. And you listen to that, whether Baylor ever learned how to use her correctly or not, I don't know. But here's the one then that was kind of more sarcastic. They are overnighting her strawberries to get her attention. Strawberries. Mac Rhodes thinks this is a non-story. Well, it's not a non-story now, Mac. He might want to go to H-E-B and get to work in the fruit department. Okay, the first text was good, really good and insightful. The second one, Mac Rhodes can only say so much. You have no idea, and I kind of don't know either about whatever was done, or even if there was much contact between the two, or from Kim to Mac or Mac to Kim, other than just what I've told you in the last week.
How about when he said that 3 days ago now, that it was a non-story in his eyes, and that maybe in, 72 hours, things might have changed a little bit. But I guess it's easier to just, try and insult him. I'm not saying Mac's perfect by any means, but there's like a couple people I see on the regular that just for some reason just want to dig at him, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's because he butts heads with Mulkey or what, but how you could look at this athletic department right now and want to complain outside of this, because this is, I would not blame fans at all for complaining if something were to happen with Kim Mulkey and Baylor, but I don't know. I feel like Mac Rhodes has done a pretty damn good job, and I don't get the disrespect that he gets sometimes, but it's typically from like the same three people. One of them being a guy who told me Mac doesn't know what he's doing, and like 3 days later the men's basketball team wins a national championship. So that's what we're dealing with here. So I've never really understood that, and you know what? I don't know how it's been handled behind the scenes, but things do change in time, and obviously this has changed in 72 hours, clearly, because we're talking about it in a different way than we were. When we talked about it a couple days ago, I thought there's a chance of it, I guess, but I just, at the end of the day, I felt like this is going to be, a story that gets drummed up with a bunch of LSU writers and it fizzles out, and that seemed like to be what it was doing last night. It went from a flurry of people posting, this is a done deal, she's going to be coming to Baton Rouge, and then there was nothing for like 20 hours. Nothing. And then all of a sudden this afternoon it picks back up again. So obviously there's something to it. I think if there wasn't at this point, Kim Mulkey would come out and say so, but she's clearly not doing that. So, it is what it is. Without knowing all the details, it's hard for me to, and I don't even have to pick a side in this. I mean, this is not my battle or your battle. It's Mac and Kim and whoever else may be involved, and they're either going to figure out that, hey, we've got a team that every year is ready to win a national championship. Every single year. And you can live with that and try to make bygones be bygones and figure out some solutions, or you can just go your separate ways. And I don't know. I don't know which way it's going to go.
All right, so here's some of the responses to that text that we received. Let me get to it here just a second. Let's see here. You, if you got something, keep going. I'm just trying
I don't have anything in front of me right now.
Let's see here. I had it, and then the page flipped because it refreshed just a second. Boy, these are fun to watch. Okay, here we go. All right. Here are some of the responses to that particular text about LSU. They call her Kramer's mom, not Coach Mulkey. That's one. Also, why didn't any Baylor AD think of that? Question mark. Of course they did. Mulkey's talent to fundraise and her desire to fundraise for non-women's basketball aren't aligned, nor do I think she is all of a sudden going to start adding a bunch of her things to her to-do list. Let's see here. This is from one more. I don't buy that text at all. Baylor never used Kim Mulkey correctly. Does that person really think that if there was a way to make a free $1 million or so fundraising with Mulkey more than anything else we did, we wouldn't have done it? Plus the claim that she's the queen of Louisiana, which is she'll raise $1 million because of that, then that's something Baylor could never tap into anyway. I'm not claiming Mulkey won't have any extra value at SMU outside of coaching, but let's be real about what's going to bring in the big bucks at LSU, and Kim Mulkey ain't it. The old stroke the ego pitch yet again coming from the Mulkey side.
Yeah, I agree with that actually on the LSU point that person made. Didn't understand how to use her to fund. I don't get that at all. I really don't. And maybe there's just something about that I'm missing. Admittedly, maybe I am, but I think that's a bit of a stretch, honestly.
Yeah. And again, you're hearing this is from obviously, and I'm gonna say it. I don't know.
He's right though about her being queen, being in Louisiana, great, but that's Louisiana. So yeah, if that's a built-in advantage, that's just one that there's nothing Baylor can do about anyways. So I guess good for you, I suppose.
All right, 254-339-1122, 254-339-1122. And also, we will not forget, and earlier today we discussed the spring game. A couple of you have called in that we're on your way to the spring game. You're on your way to acrobatics and tumbling. Stay the night. Tennis is going on campus. There's a lot going on. Baylor men's basketball gets a new commitment that looks like will be an immediate impact type player. Scoring, rebounds, assists, defense. So there's a lot going on. Right now, we'll take a break here. Come back with your text and calls. 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Back here this 5 o'clock hour, Baylor women's tennis, I just saw this from Kyle Robards, are in the semifinals with a 4-1 win over TCU. Number 8 ranked team. Of course, the tournament's going on here in Waco. A lot of things going on, not just the stories and whatever else. So they now move into the semifinals, and they've now beaten TCU 3 times, in fact, this year. Here's a text on the text that we just read. What are they talking about? This is from the 254. Kim Mulkey is adored in Waco. She's the queen of Waco and the face of Baylor athletics. That's from the 254.
Yeah, like... You know, that's what I was saying a second ago is like, yeah, maybe there's some special thing in Louisiana, but like, if that's the case, if she's treated anywhere else better than she's treated in Waco, it would have to be her home state. There's nowhere else because no one else could treat her any better than she's treated in Waco. Now, that doesn't extend to obviously certain relationships. Doesn't mean that just because the fans and the community treat you well, that the people you work with might not, be an issue for you or whatever the case. But yeah, I mean, any type of thought that this has to do with like some level of disrespect, well, that disrespect would have to be coming from like one place, and that's people above her. And, even then I would have to hear way more to know what that could even, entail. Because if it's something as far as a location of an arena or something as silly as that ultimately would be, then, that would obviously make me have a different opinion than if it were something that were like super disrespectful or, out of line for what you may think should be the way things are. I don't know. This is just all very bizarre to me that it's even at this point of still being a question mark. I think that's really unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate for those players. I think it's unfortunate for fans who have been, in a mode of celebration, and now here we are. I mean, the honeymoon's got to end at some time. So, we'll see. But I'm not ruling out her being on the Baylor sideline next year. I'm not ruling her out being on the LSU sideline next year. I'm not ruling out her being on just some random sideline next year. But I'll use the word I've been using the entire time, that we're even talking about this is unfortunate.
Here's a couple of texts from you, Keith and Bernie, 254-339-1122. Kim brings in money as a winner, but she's not a Scott Drew level of culture fit at Baylor or even a Matt Rule with his preacher's son angle. I love Kim and her fiery personality, but I agree with that texter that it may not play as well at Baylor as LSU. Add her usual standard of winning, and it's a no-brainer move for LSU. Also, from the 214, are we losing Mulkey? Her comments on the current administration's stance on the location of the new basketball arena didn't seem to be a vote of confidence, and it appeared she didn't have an open dialogue with current administration. Is this a major factor we're overlooking? No. We've been saying that now. That could be a problem.
Talking about the arena the entire time.
One of the things I said and wrote on SicEm365.com late Wednesday is that Kim has drawn a line in the sand when it comes to the arena, the location of what she wants to do. That's me doing my own research. You can sit there and point the finger at the administration. I
I think anybody pointing a finger right now better have all the facts before they're pointing a finger.
I think you could also point a finger at Kim Mulkey.
Well,
and
of course.
Oh, my God, you're not allowed to say that. I don't want her to leave. I hope she's at Baylor for a long, long time. I have a tremendous, I guess you could say, rapport with her. Not always. We haven't always agreed on a lot of things. That's what makes it pretty good. I've covered her as much as I could humanly cover a women's basketball team or any team since I arrived 11 years ago. I would rather her stay. But there comes a point, and I kind of feel like we're here right this minute, maybe 2 hours ago, where you get to a point where these things build and build and build, whatever the truth might be, and then you get to a point of no return. No return with the administration wanting her back. I'm not saying that anyone has told me that, or no return where Kim feels like, man, I kind of don't think I can go back now because of pride, because of ego, or because of, as well, what she thinks she's earned, demands, and or is getting from LSU. That's about as much as I can summarize this situation. This started because she went on a radio station in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and mentioned the job when she was asked about the job. She was going to talk about the Hall of Fame and got very emotional about that. And Kim's done that before on many issues that matter to her. Not just her family, not just Baylor women's basketball, but Baylor as well. But here's one of the things you have to understand. That interview is what started this. That interview then, if you are in Baton Rouge, can be in Waco. And here we are a week later, and guess what? Now it's awkward, isn't it? It's awkward as hell. And I think that may pretty much tell you the story right now. From Glenn on the text line, Mulkey is in the category as Coach Taff.
What does that mean? Untouchable? Can do whatever?
No, I think just a revered,
legend? Yeah, of course.
No question.
Well, yeah, I mean, not trying to duh the texter there, but yeah, of course. I mean, she's won 3 national titles. She's been Queen Bee since I arrived, and I haven't been here quite 10 years yet, but I'm not that far away from being here. And I can't think of a single instance where she hasn't been Queen Bee. So I don't even feel like that needs to be said by anybody in the long run, because I think anybody with any sort of a knowledge, and again, not talking directly to this texture, but I don't think anybody really needs to even say that as any sort of, everybody knows she's treated well. Like, so again, I don't know all the details behind the scenes. And if it's about an arena location that to me is just, I don't know. I think that's kind of a silly line to draw. But I again don't know all the details. So
yet again,
but, I mean, for this dynasty that's been built to start to show cracks, which it has, but to maybe falter ultimately because of an arena location, or
why did Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson break up?
Because they both had egos.
Exactly.
I mean,
right.
and so like I'm not an ego guy, so I just don't get it. Like, I try to wrap my head around these ego battles, and I don't understand it because I mean, I have an ego. Everybody does to some certain extent, but like, this is just not my avenue right here. I would not be having this problem right now. So that's one of the differences between Kim Mulkey, Mac Rhodes, and I. So I'm on a certain level where I just don't even understand how it's here right now, and so it's hard for me to even wrap my head around, quite frankly.
From a part of the message board, which is on the thread, which has been going on now for a long time, in regard to Mulkey being a fundraiser, I could see Scott Drew pulling it out for Aranda, but Mulkey is just too tough around the edges. That doesn't mean she doesn't inspire things or get people's attention. Can you imagine her making a pitch for ladies' Bible study? Okay. She would be perfect to do that at LSU, but I don't know if it's more insulting to say that to her or the people she is speaking to. Louisiana is another story, and that's fine. You could say that as well. It's at a point of, you know what I mean by this, blank or get off the pot. Baylor is not going to do any probably more than what they have now done for women's basketball at this particular moment. And I don't know if Kim now can come back under what she's pretty much said. And, oh, by the way, when Hannah Gusters yesterday on Twitter, one of her players kid from Irving MacArthur, Coach Kim and I, or Mulkey, whatever she said, are sitting here laughing about this stuff. If that's true, and she deleted the text or tweet, if in fact someone's sitting there laughing over it, If you're a Baylor Lady Bears fan, is that what you want?
Well, see, I think I'm looking at that the totally opposite way. I'm looking at it as they're laughing at all these stupid rumors. That's how I took it.
No, that's exactly how I took it.
Right. So
if Kim Mulkey's sitting there with Hannah Gusters laughing over all the rumors,
yeah. Why are you acting like that would be a good thing?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so why are you acting like it's a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying if she's sitting back laughing at all this attention without making a comment or releasing some sort
that's
of whatever.
A little devilish for sure.
Yeah.
That would be kind of an ugly thing to do, is just laugh at people, because you know what? I'm not fretting over it. You know, I'm not an avid Lady Bears supporter. So those are the people who are like their stomach's hurting right now over the thought of, oh my gosh, like Kim might not be here anymore. Those are the people ultimately that are the most affected by this. You know what I mean? Like T-Rex called up earlier. I don't think he could care less, if Kim Mulkey walked out the door. Steven could care less. I'm sure they care to an extent, but ultimately, is it going to like crush their hearts if the women's basketball coach changes? No. And quite frankly, I think that's the majority. I do. Or it's at least the majority of the people I read online. She's got thousands of supporters, but there are a lot of people that are turned off by certain things, or feel like at this point, having to spend this much time talking about a what if scenario with the women's basketball coach is a little bit ridiculous. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That it's just not worth it. If it's going to be like
no
this,
matter what she's accomplished.
Yeah, no matter what. Like if it's going to be like this for a sport that loses money, and I'm not trying to dog on women's basketball, but that's just a fact. It's like they bring very good things to the table, but there are also drawbacks. So are the good things worth the drawbacks? And I don't think championships just trump everything else. So yes, there's been a lot of great things, but there are also drawbacks, and you gotta, if you're Mac Rhodes and you're running like that department, like what's worth it? Like what's worth continuing to fight over and struggle over and whatever else over? I think it's so silly that we're even here, and it's just it sucks for the Lady Bears fans. All those folks that I know spend all that money to travel cross country, and she'll have those same type of people at LSU, or if she were to go to any other school. I'm sure of that. And the Lady Bears supporters will be fine, and Mac would go hire a great head coach. I don't think anybody's going to be like, I don't want that Baylor job. But duh, it's going to be like the most popular women's opening since Tennessee. I mean, so they'll find a coach if they have to go and find a coach, but I just don't think they should have to. I think, but that's me knowing just nothing. And, it's just, I think it sucks for her fans that if she was not having really any true intention of going anywhere, to be sitting back and laughing while people wring their hands over it. Yeah, I think that's a little low.
The timing of it is what she mentioned in the radio interview, by the way, a week ago, because LSU had announced that Fargas was going to be leaving. But that, has kind of been in flux, although that's just a matter of a timeline and time. So there's part of the timing. If she wasn't leaving and Kim still wanted to never coach a game on the arena that's off campus, then what would that have led to? So let's say LSU wasn't open. If you're leaving because you don't want to coach in an arena that's not on campus, and I'm the one that has been saying that. That's me. If you're leaving because you don't feel loved, then ridiculous. If LSU is not open, then what next? Let's look at it that way as well.
Well, I say that's ridiculous, and I need to take that back, because it doesn't matter how many fans love you. If the people you're working with don't, then yeah, that's an issue. But again, I'm not going to speak as though I know those interpersonal relationships in the athletic department. You've given some hints as to some of the strife going on, but I don't know the day-to-day, the daily conversations and things like that. If it's at a point of no return, then so be it. That's what it is. I don't think Baylor will, be right back to winning national championships right away. But I look around at all these other programs, and they're all doing pretty damn well. Yep. They're all doing pretty okay. And they've had some coaching changes. And I think ultimately Baylor would be fine. Now, would they reach the level of Kim Mulkey? So few have anyways. So it's hard to imagine that somebody would do that. But they would hire a damn good coach. I do know that. But I also know I don't want to see it. And yet at the same time, here we are talking about it. And you would just think that if there's any coach like cemented into a spot with the support, the money, the players, the recruiting base, the conference, the dominance. List everything off that's in favor of the current marriage. And then, obviously there's other things though that weigh heavier.
All right, it's 5:38. We'll come back with more. 254-339-1122. Phone lines available, text lines available, message board available as well.
And she won't have to worry about playing in a brand new arena wherever it's located because LSU, I guess, is on campus and it was built in 1972. So, there's the other option rather than something brand new and 5 minutes away, regardless of where it's put, on campus or downtown or what have you. So,
by the way, I heard this from somebody that covers LSU. He told me that the gymnastics team, he mentioned like the rank of pecking order, and she'll be good wherever she's going to go, whether she stays or she leaves. It's going to be very, 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 they're going to be good. It's what she does. Where she played, where she was assistant, where she was a head coach, and also now wherever that might be. One of the interesting things is that the pecking order, and Armstrong, you and I have talked about this. We've mentioned this on the show. Football, baseball, men's basketball, track and field, gymnastics has unbelievable crowds. So LSU fans are going to support whatever's winning. They are.
I thought you were talking about Baylor first. I was men's basketball behind baseball. Are you crazy? No. Okay, LSU. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's at LSU. They're going to support whatever is winning. And, if you're a large state school, you can do that. Large amount of people around you, which you have in New Orleans.
Well. You want a little something? This is not an announcement, but sure. Kim Mulkey no longer taking part in the green and gold game tomorrow.
Well, there's another part of it. Yep.
So there you go. Scheduled to be a guest play caller on the sideline with Scott Drew and others. And now in a new release, she is no longer listed. It's just listing Jerome Tang, Scott Drew. Davion Mitchell will receive his official Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award. And there is no mention of Kim Mulkey.
All right. Now, also, I got yet another text.
Unless somebody photoshopped that or something.
339-1122. I'm an avid Lady Bear supporter here. I can assure you we are all fretting over this. I've idolized Kim Mulkey since she arrived, and most of my fellow Lady Bear fans feel the same way. I watched her coach her first game while I was a student at Baylor in basketball in the band, and I have been a huge fan ever since. Was never a fan of women's basketball at all before that, and now I follow women's basketball and I'm much more passionate about it than I am the men. Don't get me wrong, I want Baylor's men to do well and support them, but I don't cry when they lose. If Mulkey leaves, you will have a lot of people totally devastated by this. It will be difficult and painful to digest for us.
That's what I was just saying.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what we mentioned, but we appreciated getting it from you.
Hey, I'm sure LSU will have its supporters. But I have a hard time believing they're going to be as supportive as that core group was for Kim Mulkey here in Waco. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know anything about Baton Rouge and their fans. I mean, I know obviously they have hardcore fans, but I know what I have seen from the Baylor fans. And, I look at it this way. If there's some just level of disrespect going on behind the scenes of you just couldn't come back to the office, I would understand that and I would be on Team Mulkey. If this is ultimately about certain smaller things, in my opinion, where the brand new arena is located, that is game-changing for the university and the city of Waco. If that's what causes you, after all that goodwill, after all that support, after all that money, after all those titles, to leave, I think that's just stupid. Sorry, I do.
When we come back, more from you, 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
All right, here we go. 546, 254-339-1122. Keith from Bernie. He said, home state draw, Flagship University. Okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's great, but
do you know where the Maravich Center is located? It's not right. It's on campus, but it's not like something spanking new. What'd you say, 1972? It's been renovated many times, as a lot of places are. But that's fine. If that's where you're going to play, that's where you're going to play.
I mean, yeah, that's great, and I understand the home ties. The home ties are enough to pull you away from the program that's already set up to win, 4th, 5th, 6th national titles. You just signed a recruit this week. If all that's, trumped by just being closer to home and being at a flagship school, I, again, think that's really, kind of a weird reason. I mean, not the going home thing. I mean, if that matters that much to her, I know that matters to a lot of people. A lot of people, maybe go live off somewhere for a while and they ultimately want to return home as they get older. I totally can relate to that, and that's cool. I don't know if the flagships, I don't think that really has, she's the flagship women's basketball program in Texas, so it doesn't matter that she's not at Texas. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I just don't see how unless her desire is just to be home. Outside of that, I don't know what draw LSU is, Because the flagship thing, that means nothing to me. And I don't know why that would really mean all that much to her either. Let's not act like she doesn't get the attention here. Like, let's not act like she doesn't get the attention across the state. She does. So, outside of that pull, the only other thing is obviously just the relationship's bad enough at Baylor that she has no real choice in her mind. I think the arena thing is a dumb reason, and I can't imagine that's the only reason.
Well, it's not, because but it's something that it could start the context. It could be a scapegoat. I'm telling you, it is a line in the sand.
Well,
promise you that.
I think this.
On top of that, there's always something, whether it's where the banners are or what banners you can't. I understand, but I got to say this, and if she's back, that's great. But the court named after her, is that from Kim or is that from Kim's Army?
Probably both.
There's always something, but there's always winning too, and you can deal with that when you're winning the way she is. She's a rock star. She will be a rock star in Baton Rouge. She would be a rock star in Tuscaloosa. I know Baton Rouge is her home state. I get that. But
I'm going to tell you what, now, she's not walking in and just automatically winning an SEC title, because Dawn Staley coaches in that conference too, mind you.
Yep.
So
I did have an.
And I know she's not scared of Dawn Staley or South Carolina or whatever, but let's just not.
Oh, she'll win.
I know she'll win. We all know she'll win, but it's just she's not going to have the layup she had in the Big 12
No.
And I know that doesn't bother her because she's a competitor. She feels like she can go win anywhere. I know it's not about the winning, but what you have in place already versus starting over, maybe starting over is just that appealing. Maybe the home state's that appealing. I just think it's silly. I really do. I think it's silly. I think it's silly for a line to be drawn in the sand over an arena that you maybe will coach in for another 5 to 10 years.
I think the arena is true, but I also think that's just part of it.
Right, and I wasn't done. I was going to say, if an arena you might coach in for the next 5 to 10 years, when it's going to be around for at least 50, I think that's selfish in some ways. And if there's things like, the naming of the court and all that, can we let that happen in time? And can we also realize they did not win the national championship this past year? They did 2 years ago, and they've done it 3 times, and that's great. But, I don't know. If it's about demands and things like that, I don't know if this is the right time, in my opinion. And I really feel like if anybody should be demanding or asking for things right now, it should be the guy who did just win a national title. But that's me.
By the way, one other note, for those of you who love Kim Mulkey, and again, I have great respect
she's awesome.
for her.
I do.
But for those of you that are maybe worried, or as the text we got, which made a lot of sense, that, you're devastated if it's true that she eventually is gone because it's not official yet, or even where we know the status is. If she goes to LSU, are you going to feel the same way when she takes some players with her? She's going to take as much of the staff as she can. But then she's going to start to also try to peel away the talent on this roster that's loaded up to be a national championship contender, again, along with Jordan Lewis and whoever else might be interested in following her, because in women's basketball, there might have been, I think they went to Tennessee because Pat Summitt. They go to UConn because of Gino. They come to Baylor because of Kim, just like they do that in football or men's basketball and elsewhere. But if, in fact, some of that is peeled away, and who are you going to blame it on? The administration? No. That's part of the deal here as well. LSU's leading scorers back, and they already have 2 transfers that are already there to play for Coach Fargas.
I'm not going to start speculating on who she would potentially take and all that, but absolutely, I don't expect her to, if that were to happen, to not create some chaos on the way out. Maybe I'd be wrong, but I highly doubt she would go empty-handed. That wouldn't make much sense. So hope it doesn't come to that. Sure feels like it probably is. Sure feels like it probably is actually zooming more towards that alternative. So, I guess we can cross that bridge when we get there, but we're pulling up on the bridge, and I just keep kind of saying the same thing as far as I just don't get it. I do and I don't. I just think that this is – I kind of feel like in hindsight there's going to be a lot of people regretting this if it happens. And I'm not so sure she might not be at the top of the list. And I'm sure if she's listening to me right now, she's like, you're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't understand. That's fine. I don't. I'm trying to speak on it as best as I can. But I know the situation in Waco is pretty dang good and a lot better than pretty much everywhere else in this entire country, not named Storrs, Connecticut, or, the Gamecocks in South Carolina. And even then, Baylor's, bigger than them. They're the second biggest brand. They're the second biggest brand in women's basketball behind UConn.
In the country.
In the country.
And in some ways,
country.
even the way they're treated in Waco and the way they're revered in Waco and what they have in Waco is even more so because UConn has a men's basketball team that had won 2 of the last 4 national titles, and that's a big deal there as well. But Gino's a rock star. Kim is a rock star. Even now, after the men win the national title, she was going to be a rock star because she was probably going to go 30-1 next year.
Now, I will say this, though, and you're right. And she'll be a rock star at LSU, maybe go unbeaten, lose a game, lose 2 games or whatever. But looking at it from the other side of things, as much success as she has had, if this is coming down to just wanting things and this and that, again, why now? Why is the timing what it is? I guess because maybe LSU's opening up, and so it feels like you got to do something right now. But, man, I think there's a lot that's been given towards that program, a lot that program's earned, and there does come a point where it's just like, enough. You know what I mean? It's like you put up with something or do something to a certain extent, and then there just comes a point where you're not willing to do it any more than you're already doing, and it doesn't make sense to do any more than you're already doing, or maybe you're not ready to go and name something after someone right now because if you don't, then they might leave. Well, if that's the case, then definitely don't name it after them, because if they're holding you hostage to do something like that, and I'm not saying that's the case, but as an example, or hey, put the arena here or I'm leaving, well then goodbye, because that's a very selfish decision, and the program will be fine wherever that arena is, in my opinion. I don't think it matters if it's 10 minutes to the left or 10 minutes to the right. That doesn't affect the final score, or you're recruiting all that much. It'd be one thing if you were taking them 10 minutes off campus to go to a dump. This is a brand new arena they're going to be building. So, at what point is enough? At what point is it enough to just be somewhat satisfied? I would think that we'd be at that point, because I don't know how much more can really be done other than some of those superficial things that I'm talking about. And those can come in time. Why does that have to be right now? You know what I mean? So I hope just everybody gets a good night's rest and really thinks this through. And, and if they all do, or if they already have had that good night's rest and they feel like there's no patching it up, then so be it. Things change, and this would be a pretty massive thing to change. But, that's the way it's going to be. Potentially, that's the way it's going to be.
Yep, absolutely. She has an incredible contract. She's earned it. And, yes, we could even at times, somebody just sent me a note, and I've always just brought it up because it's the dollars and cents part of it, is that no one's expecting to make money out of women's basketball. No school in the country, not UConn, not Stanford, not Notre Dame when they had Muffet McGraw, not Baylor, not Louisville, none of them.
Does UConn not even make money?
I don't.
I would think they'd probably make like $100 off this season, right? That's all they have. I got to look at that.
Yeah,
go ahead,
their attendance is good. It's not like overly crazy.
Yeah.
There's probably 2. I'm going to guess there are, at least based on not this year's attendance, because you can't use this year, and I would think there are 2 women's. And Armstrong, if you want to look this up, I know you don't have time. I would think there are maybe 2 or 3 women's basketball programs in the country that draw 10,000 plus a game. Now, that's a hell of a lot. Baylor's men doesn't do that. They don't do that. In fact, the women outdrew the men a lot of times. That could be changing a little bit now with what they've done with the Final Four and the national championship. I don't know, because you do get more of like football, when they couldn't do anything at Floyd Casey until you started to win. And then, man, it was packed. McLean was packed until they, started having bad problems. Even when they were 11-3 with Rule, they didn't pack that place. But one of the things about women's basketball, I'm going to guess, South Carolina and maybe 1 or 2 other schools in women's basketball draw 10,000 more a game.
In the 2019-2020 season, South Carolina was number 1 with 12,000.
That's huge.
Number 2 is Oregon, 10,800. And then 3rd was Iowa State at 9,000.
And they do a great job
so
up
only
there.
2 get 10,000 or more.
And then Oregon had Ionescu, and plus they were really good, and obviously played and lost to Baylor in the semifinals. And Baylor, Mulkey's beaten all of them.
Well, I think
Baylor, South Carolina have been back and forth.
Baylor staff is probably. I was looking for UConn to see if they actually made even a couple bucks off of women's basketball, because if anybody did, it would be them. And actually, as of October of last year, so I know that's a bit of a long time now, but as of last year, the labor department actually had to rule in favor of the coaching staff because they were underpaid, and they had to reward like $250,000 to 7 women who were coaching with UConn's staff. I don't think Baylor's had that problem with their assistant coaching staff. I don't think so. But if UConn was making a buck, that probably got taken away by that labor department ruling.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not all money, obviously. This is more of a personal thing going on. It sure as heck feels like, and the thing about, if it is a situation where it's like, well, okay, but I want this or I want this, like, how much is enough? And when do you get to the point of, you're willing to do this, and you're willing to do this, and you're willing to do this, and you're willing to go above and beyond for this, and go a bit further than most anybody else in this. At some point, you can't. At some point, you just say, no, this time we're not going to do that. You know what I mean? At some point, there has to be some no's. It can't always be yeses to everything. And so if Mack Rhodes has to say no to something, or Linda Livingstone, or whoever it may be, I don't think they're doing that because of egos. I think they're doing that because they're having to do what's in the best interest of the university and of the athletic department. And it's hard to imagine that could potentially be the exit of Kim Mulkey. But if things are as bad as they appear to be, or seem to kind of be, then maybe it would be good. I don't know. I don't think so ultimately. I would like for Baylor Athletics, as they're starting to hit on all cylinders, to have their legendary women's basketball coach with her massive following and her entire area that loves her. But if she feels that that's not worth it ultimately because of where an arena's going, or because of whatever else, a pay raise or whatever the heck it is that she wants, then I just think that's sad. I really do.
Somebody asked me about why we haven't had her on the show.
Try to.
We were scheduled to talk Wednesday, and then all of the stuff started to flare up, and out of respect that I could not do the interview without asking her the questions about LSU, and she understood I could not do that without LSU being added to it. It didn't happen, and may never now happen. On Monday, we're going to either be talking about a women's basketball coaching search. We will have spring drills. David Randall will join us as well, and much more. And maybe Kim Mulkey does somehow stay at Baylor.
Yeah, this is
Armstrong, Sims, and Jack McKenzie.
I love Kim Mulkey, love what she's done, love the program. Hopefully we are talking about, that continuing on, but if not, life changes, and we'll see what happens this weekend. But definitely we'll have a lot of football coming your way here over the next couple of days.
Throughout the day tomorrow, SicEm365 Radio. I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.